Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Elden Ring Fear the Old Lore Unpatched. I keep saying it differently every time. So yesterday we finished off with Fia's quest. We got the Mending Rune from her. We also defeated the younger brother D. And that pretty much clears out everything here. So I think pretty much the next thing we need to do is more or less go to Volcano Manor and or the mountaintops of the giants. So last time we were going up Mount Gelmir and we got kicked off by patches. So let's go back over to the first Mount Gelmir campsite. Hope everyone's doing well. Earthmind, nice to see you. Arise, ye tarnished. And the last time we came through here, I pointed out how these guys, while they don't necessarily use like Frenzy Flame incantations here, there are going to be others that have like the more obvious Frenzy Flame eyes. And I've wondered whether or not that's a product of cannibalism specifically, and or whether or not that's related to the boys underneath Lane Dell, since they probably didn't have any real access to food. When we were initially talking about the Frenzy Flame stuff in like the second or third stream, Crunchy made a good comment about how the Shabriri grapes are a kind of pseudo-cannibalism, like consuming them. So I thought that's a good point as well. So I don't necessarily know if like the Frenzy Flame stuff is fully related to cannibalism, but I like to think that. And one thing which might contradict that a little bit could be like Anastasia the Tarnished Eater, because rather than her being like a Frenzy Flame adherent, she seems to be more of a recusant of the Volcano Manor. Capenda and Mercy Asinex, nice to see you guys. Doing pretty well. How about yourself? Yeah, so for some reason I always think like there should be the Iron Virgins down here, but that's before the other campsite. So we're gonna miss out on Anastasia for a little bit, and we'll see her again elsewhere. So there's a little ladder up there, and then there's another long one over here. This one, if I'm remembering correctly, leads to the next merchant, so we're going to go over there. Seems to involve depression too. Look at the merchants. You're well. Yeah, so rather than just depression, I think it's supposed to be like a step further in despair. Those are the winged avionet puppets over there. Must have glintstone. I'm surprised to see it glowing so much. So yeah, despair seems to be a big component into things.
Yes, right this way. Right this way.
The Dung Eater puppet mentions it, but more so than that, it's Millicent's prosthesis, which gives like the direct line for it, which is kind of surprising. Bacchio Zealot, welcome back. You think why everyone in the lands between is old and decrepit is that the catacombs is corrupted with Deathroot and no one can be rebirthed properly? I don't necessarily know if it's because of the Deathroot.
Welcome, valued customer. Come, trade in our wandering emporium. Please, buy something. I'm hungry. I've been hungry so long. Please?
So, yeah, I don't know if it's a Deathroot specifically or if it's because the Erdtree's roots aren't connected to the minor Erdtrees, but either way, you might be able to make an argument. Going back to what the nomadic merchant just said, he said that it's been so long since he's had food. He didn't say that verbatim. He said it's been so long and that he's hungry. So it sounds as though they eat runes or they need runes for sustenance. Either way is kind of weird, but sallow embers, cracked pot, stone sword key. Oh, I have a lot of runes. I should have leveled up. Yeah, I didn't realize Fortis gave me that many. Oh yeah, we need to go to the Round Table Hold and look at all the remembrances and stuff. I forgot about that. Alright, so Iron Mask forced on a prisoner convicted of a heinous crime. Thick, heavy, and utterly stifling. A foul creation designed to torment the wearer, either slowly fermenting hatred within their heart, or a spiritual fervor that is near indistinguishable from it. So I really like the lore on the prisoner set. I think it's super cool. I originally wanted to start out as a prisoner in my first playthrough, but I was too obstinate and I kept resetting the game to try to kill the grafted scion. So I ended up going with the Vagabond because its shield is really good. So yeah, putting that one aside. Tattered attire worn by the perpetrator of an appalling crime. Never once washed, every fiber is filthy. Oh, he has the eye surcoat? That's so random. Iron armor with her surcoat attached. So yeah, this is what the one dude who invaded us by the Limgrave Coliseum was wearing. And normally this would be in Rykard's arena. I'm not going to buy it. So the final line, or paragraph rather, about this, tormenting the wearer to ferment hatred within their heart or a spiritual fervor that's not near indistinguishable from it, does kind of lead into the stuff with curses, but it's a little bit distant. I know in some of the pre-release stuff, the person wearing the Iron Mask was using Frenzy Flame stuff, so maybe that was supposed to be more tied in at some point. I'm not sure. Somebody on the Discord, or maybe it was in one of the YouTube comments, had a pretty interesting write-up, and I'm just terrible at remembering stuff like that, so sorry if I'm forgetting like who wrote it and all that stuff. Complicated Spectrum, nice to see you again. El Gusto, as always. And Trent Reznor, who's not Trent Reznor. Ben Brennan, just in time for Hungary. Frenzy Despair sounds like bipolar disorder. Don't Sleep and Frenzy both feature an eye on them, and there's also the Cut Satan Trina / merchant content. Yeah, I really was interested in the Cut merchant content because it's like they're all one collective being, kind of, almost in a similar way to D, but it's different, and that got cut. Maybe it's because their consciousness was entangled in a dream, perhaps? I'm not sure. And so one of the cut lines about that is like one of their brothers is trying to bring about the frenzied flame, and I wonder if that was supposed to be like a reference to Shabriri, and they kind of knew what he was up to, because they're all related. Do you mean only the merchants or everyone eats runes? It sounds like the merchants specifically, they're not tarnished, but it does lead up to much wider questions about that. It's the Griffith Helm? Yeah, that's another... Could I check the Fringe Folk rune? You think it may tie a little into the merchants maybe eating runes. Okay. Don't forget that the runes in this version of the game are going to be different, but you might be... That might be exactly what you wanted. Right. Even now, runes are still imbued with the power of gold. Do you see the Erdtree towering over? Yeah, so not too much there. Yeah, there's nothing so much in the runes. You always thought of rune soul's blood as a storage of energy. People use that energy for various reasons, hence its value. Eating runes may be one use for that energy. Yeah, that's kind of how I look at it as well. Prisoner is the only time you'll start a first game as something not a sorcerer. So cool it broke the cycle. Nice. Leveling up requires a maiden to do so, and they're connected to the Golden Order through the Two Fingers, something that may be used as another method of control. It is kind of weird because Corin says that the Two Fingers prayer books are heretical, so it is a little bit questionable whether or not the maidens are meant to be tied into the Golden Order as well. Maybe. I don't know. Any theories on why the assassin blades are inscribed by Ronnie but don't have access to them without our help? Could you rephrase that question? I'm not following the final point about don't have access to them without our hope. You thought some mentioned runes as sustenance? Oh, okay. It's all good. I don't mind looking at stuff. You guys have thoughts? I'm eager to hear them as well. Hey, Boris, nice to see you again. Souls, runes, and echoes are like prima materia, essentially, or prima materia, essentially quintessences that can become almost anything. Yeah, I would agree with that. The two fingers serve the greater will. The maidens may be more for the greater will than the golden order. One pulls the strings on the other, after all. Yeah, I think you could probably argue that. But even then, I would still say it's kind of questionable how much the two fingers actually serve the greater will, or if they just proclaim that they are. Right. So as we come up here, these guys are further along in their journey of becoming a frenzied flame boy, because they have the fiery eyes and they can actually use the incantations. But if I remember correctly, none of these actually regain health from the frenzy flame stone. So it seems like they're unwilling members of the frenzy flame clan, if you want to call it that. Adherents. Let's see if I can craft any, because... Okay, I can craft a couple. Oh, I need more Eyes of Yellow. Not very many, but that should be good enough. We should be able to find a couple more as we go along, huh? So we have another tomb thing, monument, that we can't read. Because we're illiterate, apparently. I want to jump down there, but... Okay, this would probably be the safer option. Alright. Spectrum said, the blaze carried by the Black Knight Assassins, they say they have the runes inscribed by Rani. Sorry, skipping on what those blades are called. The one she uses to kill her fingers. Also, as a Hindi speaker, always assuming Rani's, which means queen. Essentially, lunar princess queen. Oh, it's always amusing. Sorry, that's a little bit broken there. But, let me go back to your first question. So, any idea on why they're, why the black knives were inscribed by Rani, but we can't use them without her help? Is that what you're... I still don't understand your first question, so forgive me for that. But Rani did steal the Rune of Death. So that rune that she took, she used its powers to imbue the black knives with the ability to kill demigods, which is presumably what they used on Godwin and or Rani herself. All right, so we did get the Lane Bell Knight set. Let's look at that real quick. Does anything contradict that they serve the greater will? So let me think if there's like something directly. You could kind of make the argument, since we don't have to do a two fingers ending to become an Elden Lord, that they're not necessarily speaking on behalf of the greater will specifically. We just don't know what the greater will actually wants, and we have to rely on the two fingers for their guidance, which is always a little bit dangerous in terms of like controlling resources. They kind of have a monopoly on the system, so it's just kind of my gut instinct to be suspicious on something about something that you can't question. That doesn't mean that they aren't right or anything like that. It's just, how do we actually know? And I don't think we do. Because there is like the weird stuff with them controlling shadows and not being able to intervene into things directly. So, I don't know. They're just really strange to me, and I'm suspicious of them. Mayo, welcome back to the stream. Wheel following stall ahead. Yeah. Does the storm have anything to do with time, kind of like Light in Dark Souls? Maybe because there is this storm beyond time and whatnot. But that could also be potentially described as like the times between, like how we're in the lands between, there might be a times between. So if that's contingent on the storm existing, perhaps. She stole the rune and used it to imbue the knives, but then she waited for us to get one from Nokron to offer fingers. So the Finger Slayer blade is different from the black knives. Feels like even if she helped in making them, she didn't have one lying around. She had Blythe and our character looking around to find a black blade so she couldn't go on her dark path. So no, the two blades are different. It is interesting that the Finger Slayer blade almost seems more imbued with the Rune of Death than the Black Knives, though. I do think that's a very interesting point to bring up. But it's questionable the origin of that Finger Slayer blade, because it could be kind of like the Sacred Relic Sword that Radigan gets turned into by the Elden Beast. But we don't exactly know its origin. Armor used by elite capital knights. So yeah, again, in this version of the game, there aren't any of the Leyndell knights in Leyndell. There's just Banished knights and Exile knights. Oh. Volcano pots? I probably shouldn't have started that. Yeah, I don't want to deal with all those dolls. There's nothing like super important down there. This cave on over to the right has a demi-human queen at the end of it. And that's where you get the jar cannon, I think. So I'm not going to worry about that. We're just going to go on towards the Fallingstar beast. Yeah, no problem. You can kill the demigods with brute force, so bits of destined death might be the only way to kill Two Fingers, as well as for specific occult rituals. Do you think the Golden Order was always doomed to fail? I don't really know, to be honest. I think it always had a flaw, but I don't necessarily think that flaw became obvious until Ronnie killed something that had grace. Oh, wait. Need to level up. Full-grown Fallingstar beast. May as well keep leveling vigor. Alright. I guess I'll fight this unless it becomes too burdensome. Just gotta turn again. Oh. That was my opportunity to get a cheeky strike in. I should have remembered to remove that talisman. Like, as soon as I pressed the button, I was like, you screwed up. I got caught in the sprint animation, as per usual. Oh, that's gonna hurt. Okay, that wasn't too bad. Oh, I can actually still mount up, even though I have the ashes out. Okay. Alright, that was a little bit silly of me. Alright. Oh no. Come on, man. He cheated me. So, one of the things that's really cool about this one is when he gets into phase 2, his eye will glow purple, unlike how Estelle's kind of glows blue. His eye should have gone golden when we broke him, his stance, his posture, whatever. So that's, I think they probably cleaned that up after the fact. This is the one you hate the most, just for how mobile and strong he is. Understandable. It's kind of silly. Thought I iframed it. Didn't realize it kept going. Oh, that should have probably killed me. I wish I could see Torrent's health bar sometimes. Alright, well that'll do it. A little bit too slow on my end. Oh, that's a little weird audio thing. Rolled too soon because I couldn't see him. Whew. 2 heals left. Gotta YOLO it. The YOLO failed. Bro. Alright. Smaller, somber golden smithing stone, large golden smithing stone, and the falling beast jaw. It's always a little bit nerve-wracking jumping down like that. Small arena, fast enemy, big AoEs. He's knocked you out of the arena more than once. I'd rather fight this one than the one in the Caelid tunnel. Although I'm probably past the point where he's going to be truly problematic for me. So let's check out that jaw, and then let's go to the round table hold to look at all the remembrances and their items, because it's been a hot minute. Part of a Fallingstar's beast jaw, hard and light devouring, fashioned into a weapon. With its sharp point, this colossal weapon can skewer foes. So this one's a little bit clearer that it's light devouring. I don't remember what it says in the retail, but I do remember it being slightly different. You love the stage for this fight. It's really epic scenery. Yeah, the fact that you're just kind of in a crater on top of a mountain really just sells home the idea that it like came from a meteor so well. Hence Fallingstar Beast. This really would be a good space to view the stars, normally, I suppose. Hey, now I can't dismount. Now I can kind of finally show off how it has like the different moon phases on these. Okay. He dropped his jaw. How strong we were? Thanks. You just fought this full-grown Fallingstar today, found out there was a second one in Altus Plateau and got that one too. Yeah, and then there's the one in Caelid. Yeah, you think it was the Golden Warder was doomed to fail because people would go insane from staying alive forever. Yeah, I think that's pretty common for like the FromSoft games. Like it's very similar to Dark Souls. So in that aspect, I don't think you're wrong. I just don't know if it was doomed to fail because it probably lasted for a fairly long time before Ronnie ended up killing Godwin. Radon totally buck broke one of these stars. Complicated Spectrum says, any theories on how and why Ronnie's doll ends up in Einsel River? You feel like you're missing something, and it does make the quest difficult for first timers as she teleports from place to place. So yeah, that's an interesting question. She might be able to operate the doll for very limited amounts of time, and then she might have ran out of juice. But yeah, that is kind of weird, especially like from a not just like a lore perspective, but also just like gameplay design. They could have just made it so she ordered you around or whatnot. Or like you just picked up the doll after she said she was leaving. I don't know. It does kind of paint her as being a lot more helpless than she makes herself out to be. Light Devouring, does that maybe connect to the Abyss or the Void? So yeah, I think it would connect to like the Eternal Darkness stuff, because that's kind of where Estelle is implied to have come from. That's why you're saying it's not so much doomed to fail, it's just nothing lasts forever. Yeah. So up until Ronnie did the thing, I think like the Golden Order, which just still would have like had a stranglehold over everything. It just, if it wasn't messed with, it probably would have continued on to everyone's mental dismay. You believe Rykard had a huge role in the Night of the Black Knives, maybe even bigger than we think. Yeah, it's a possibility, especially with him being given the Blasphemous Claw. All right, so let's check out the Remembrance of the Leech Dragon. Did I even look at the Misbegotten one? Oh yeah, these don't really say anything in this version of the game. I'm silly. So it's called the Ancient Dragon Descendant.
Well, you managed to return. You know what this means. The Erdtree has spurned you. The fingers remain still, shaken by this turn of events. They are busy consulting the greater will. When they are finished, the fingers will again offer their guidance. But thousands, if not tens of thousands, of moons must first pass. No matter for me, but you. How will you ever manage to wait? My, oh my.
So Enia's dialogue here is interesting because she says that she'd be able to be fine with the weight of tens of thousands of moons or whatever, especially when you consider how she just kind of dies herself later on in the game with no real explanation given to that. So if the finger readers are from the time of Godfrey, and that's a big if, it just kind of shows they may have also had extremely long lives. Maybe they were made immortal with the rise of the Golden Order. It's a little bit questionable where the finger readers fit into everything. So, right. She did mention how the two fingers are in contact with the greater will, but at this point in the game, they are still and they're not moving. If I remember correctly, there's an item relating to Gideon where it pretty much says it verbatim that they stop working, essentially. So, take that for what you will. It is weird that these fingers have like hair and stuff on them. And remember, compared to Ronnie's fingers, which are like still smooth and have like supple skin, this one is all like pockmarked. It kind of looks like a meteor or like a piece of wood with rotty, fleshy stuff on the inside. So that might also just show that like the two fingers might be affected with advanced age, almost like everything else in the lands between. So, yeah. maybe their order had to come to an end because they themselves are too old and the cycle needs to continue. Yo, Teen Sith, what's up? Back at it with the Randy discourse, of course. The shadow is supposed to be unkillable, as Blythe says, so you feel the mechanics of that question do not match the lore. So no, I think Blythe was unkillable because he certainly is unkillable until Ronnie kills her two fingers with the Finger Slayer blade. Because if you fight Blythe anywhere else and kill him, he'll respawn in that position and say that no harm can befall a shadow. But that doesn't happen after Ronnie's two fingers dies. So when you fight him the one time after that happens, he stays down. Hey, Pony Boy, welcome back. Nice. Hope your dinner goes well. So, alright, other stuff with Enia.
Thousands upon thousands of moons before the fingers again offer their guidance. Oh my, whatever will you do?
Alright, let's burn the impenetrable thorns.
Heavens forbid. That is not the domain of mere men. The burning of the Erdtree is the first cardinal sin. And you say you seek the power of the Rune of Death too? The Rune of Death goes by two names. The other is Destined Death. The forbidden shadow plucked from the Golden Order upon its creation. Unleashing the rune now would be unthinkable. The fingers would never permit it. Nor would the greater will. But here we are. The fingers dormant, severing our link to the greater will. The realm and all life in ruins. Impossible events transpire beyond the ken of the fingers. Who is to say that the cardinal sin must be cardinal forever? Go on. Finish the job. Take the course you deem most worthy.
All right, so there is a ton to unpack with that, but before going into that, Troy the Capybaras, welcome into the stream. Haven't seen you before. So I'm gonna kind of ignore chat for a moment just to monologue about what Enia says. So she first mentions how burning the Erdtree is the first cardinal sin, which certainly implies that it happened before, and this is a little bit problematic, I think, because honestly, it's questionable when the Erdtree came into being. We do have a couple item descriptions which say it was the birth of the Erdtree during the war against the giants, and it's a little ambiguous as to mean whether or not the Erdtree first grew and then the giants attacked or whatnot, or like that's when the war happened, or whether or not the Erdtree grew during the war against the giants, or whether or not it grew after the war against the giants. And I know smithing stones 5 and 6 in the retail builds of the game talk about that a bit more. And then there's another item. It wasn't the Roar Medallion. I should have opened up my notes, but I didn't think about this. Let me look at the smithing stones real quick. Gotta zoom. Oh no, they're 7 and 8, not 5 and 6. Thought to have been used to hone the weapons of the champions of the war against the giants at the birth of the Erdtree. So that's a little bit ambiguous, and it's also written as hearsay, which is really annoying. Guess I'm gonna have to say war against. Okay, so there's a monument at the top of the mountaintops of the giants that says the war against the giants, champions battle, trolls betray, fire vanquished, the era of the Erdtree begins. So because it's talking about eras, it can still be a bit vague there, but it makes it sound as though the Erdtree would have like really flourished after the war against the giants. So it's still vague there. And I think there's one other item. Oops. Scroll too far. Okay, so Protect Me is another problematic item because it says, quote, it is said that this incantation was used during the war against the giants long ago, during which it protected the champions of the Erdtree. Unfortunately, it is said, so it's hearsay. The other thing about Flame Protect Me, which is strange, is that it is a fire giant's incantation. So if the champions of the Erdtree use that spell, it is not delineated from the Erdtree. It is a fire giant spell. So questionable as to whether or not the Erdtree fully existed then, I guess. But yeah. And then there's one other thing, which I believe would just be Marika's dialogue about it. But let me double check. Okay. Okay, Sergio Flame is something I'll need to get back to. All right, so that's it. So yeah, it goes back to Marika's left behind dialogue at the First Church of Marika, where the Age of the Erdtree begins. Let me look at real. Spoken Echoes. All right. In Marika's own words, hark, brave warriors, hark, my lord Godfrey, we commend your deeds. Guidance hath delivered ye through each ordeal to the place ye stand. Put the giants to the sword and confine the flame atop the mount. Let a new epic begin, an epic glistening with life. Brandish the Elden Ring for the age of the Erdtree. So, even though it kind of sounds as though the Erdtree would have began after that, it is also ambiguous there. So, going through all this trouble just to pull out an I don't know is kind of annoying, but I mean, we just have to work with what we have, unfortunately. And going back to the original point of Enia saying that burning the Erdtree is the first cardinal sin, it is said in what was it? Sergio Flame? That the giant's flame is the flame of ruin capable of burning the Erdtree. And so, following the war against the giants, its ruinous blaze was sealed, and guardians were appointed to watch over it. So if the flame was sealed after the war against the giants, it does raise questions of when the Erdtree would have been burned. And I think the most logical answer to that would have been at the inception of the Erdtree, perhaps, or at the very beginning of the age, because Leyndell never had its inner ramparts become breached. So we could assume that Leyndell must have came into being after the war against the giants, which would kind of make a lot of sense. But putting all that stuff aside, considering how we have to sacrifice a kindling maiden to burn the Erdtree, it seems like the Erdtree could have come from a different tree that had to be burned beforehand, because there is reference to a kind of kindling maiden before Melina in... What's the item called? Let me look up kindling real quick. The Blade of Calling. And that could also tie into Fire's Deadly Sin, which said the prophet despaired looking up at the Erdtree, where soon the kindling would burst into flame, bringing ruin. The burning of the Erdtree is the first cardinal sin. That is not the domain of mere men. So it had to have been burned at some time, and there are other prophecies of flame being seen within the Erdtree faith, the faith of the Erdtree. So it does seem very likely that the Erdtree had to be burned, and it should have been before the war against the dragons because of everything, I guess. Just everything with the giants. So sorry for that really long monologue. I still have more to talk about, believe it or not, but I do want to catch up with you guys. I did take like a few notes so I could go back to what she was saying. Right, scrolling up. Her language seems to imply the Erdtree has been burned before. Yeah, okay. We aren't ever really told how transitions go beyond the Crucible. One would wonder if the land or world is destroyed gradually by this, unless the new vassal heals the land. How is Ranni an Empyrean but her brother Radahn isn't? A lot of people wonder whether or not Empyreans have to be female, and Miquella could be kind of a special case. But that's a good question. Maybe Radahn just doesn't have a vision of his own because he's too fixated on being lion and whatnot. What are the finger reader crones? Why are their eyes missing? That's a very good question. I think their eyes are missing partially to show that they have a more spiritual view of the world. Like their eyes, they're not going to be deceived by what their eyes show them, so they're probably more in tune to the spiritual stuff. There's also the fact that they can feel vibrations maybe more strongly, like Toph in Avatar. But that's a good question. And just my kind of half-assed answer and trying to come up with something that might work. And also, welcome back to the stream, Spaghetti. Ride or die for sure. If the Golden Order is fungible, it can last forever, bro. Non-fungible great runes. Thanks for indulging topics that are asynchronous from the on-screen situation. Oh yeah, no problem. I mean, we're talking about the lore at large, and so when there's time, I do try to indulge, but on topics like these, it's a little bit harder to do that. Could the Erdtree burning be a natural part of its life cycle? Like the Australian pine cone trees, the cones only open after fire passes by. So before the giants and the Erdtree may have existed in symbiosis, but just like in the real world, controlling forest fires too much creates mega fires in the future. The natural order was disturbed. So yeah, that's kind of how I view the Erdtree, or I think it's likely. I don't know if it's, actually the fact, but I do think the golden seeds are kind of similar to those kind of gigantic pine cones and things like that. Burning of the Erdtree seems like a never-ending cycle. Maybe the Gloam-Eyed Queen herself tried to become kindling like Melina? Maybe. Uh-oh. Isn't first cardinal sin kind of redundant? Maybe. Luke Smith, welcome in. You assume the first kindling maiden in the Calling Blade is Melina, given that she no longer has it and you do now? That's an interesting perspective. I think it's supposed to go beyond that, because she does show up with it in the fight against Morgott, but you could make the argument that she wouldn't have it after that point, because you need to beat Morgott to go to the Forbidden Lands. Hey Mortis, nice to see you again. Teen Sith thinks Empyreans are uplifted and chosen by the Two Fingers. The twins are essentially godchildren already because they're from a divine self-cest of an Empyrean. And I think that's also a very strong possibility. It's a sentence you didn't think you'd ever say. You could just post that onto r/brand new sentence, couldn't you? Hey Corporate, nice to see you again. Yeah, thanks. It's a little bit tough keeping the schedule, but as long as it's consistent, it's kind of easier to stick with. Although there's some nights where I'm really racing to finish everything to get ready for stream. Alright, so we're caught up with that. So we talked about the Cardinal Sin. Then the next thing Enia talked about was the Rune of Death. Oh, right. So we did get the Mending Rune of the Death Prince, which doesn't say so much in this version of the game. But Enia does say it, and it does, coincide with what the Mending Rune says. So I don't think there's really no reason to doubt Enia here that the Golden Order was created on plucking the Rune of Death from the Elden Ring, which is kind of crazy because if it was already in the Elden Ring, that brings up the question of who controlled the Elden Ring. When did the Rune of Death get integrated into the Elden Ring? Was it always there? Did the Glowmide Queen integrate it? What happened to her after the fact? And how was it sealed? Because if the Golden Order began after the time of Godfrey, wouldn't that imply the Glowmide Queen was the bearer of the Elden Rune during the time of Godfrey? Kind of, which is kind of why I'm like, oh shoot, maybe Marika's actually the Glowmide Queen, as much as I hate it, the idea. In a lot of ways, it just makes too much sense for me to fully ignore. So I just bring that up again, because it is kind of a huge unresolved question to the lore. Especially because the god skins are said to hunt the gods, which is most likely meant to imply the demigods, because in this version of the game, it says like they have tanned demigod skin rather than just god skin, essentially. And going back to that idea of Godwyn being the first dead demigod, it does raise questions of when all those demigods died. So it's just all a mess, and it's really difficult to untangle without taking some item description as being incorrect to some degree, which is the last thing I ever want to do while analyzing the lore. So yeah, okay, that's the Rune of Death stuff. Let's go back up here. There's a total of 165 bosses in this game, but only 12 are mandatory. Miyazaki's a genius. Welcome to the stream, Kiss Me. How many are women with exposed feet? That's exposing the real Miyazaki lore. Boris says, theory, the burning of the Erdtree does repeat itself, and the giant forge looks like a huge crucible, the one that melts gold. Scowl Easy, welcome back. If runes have always existed and embody rules or forces of reality, or can they be created and are external means of control? That's something I've wondered myself, because we can see people create mending runes, and they can get integrated into the Elden Ring. And it is only hearsay that the Elden Ring arrived on a meteor. It's all up in the air, really. As much as people like to believe that the Elden Ring came with the beast on a meteor, it is hearsay, which is unfortunate. Maybe Crucible Knight served Godfrey because he defeated the giants. Maybe. I think it's just the Crucible was the time of Godfrey, like the first version of the Erdtree, before the Golden Order did its thing. Crucible Knights, Crucible / Giant Forge. How dare I suggest Soldier of God as a minor enemy? Do they have an art book or something that gives bits of info? Yes, there is an art book. I don't remember if I put it in my resources tab on the Discord server, but yes, it is definitely out there. Scans of it are up, and it doesn't give a lot more info. It just kind of gives a little bit more info about everything. Some of the stuff is like in Japanese, so that's where you get like official titles for some things, but I mean, it's still pretty straightforward. How much do I think Elden Ring overlaps with Dark Souls versus Bloodborne? Thematically, I think it overlaps with all of their previous games, even like Sekiro to a certain degree, but like literally, I would say not. It wouldn't overlap. Alright, so the next thing Enia said was that the fingers would never permit the burning of the Erdtree, which is kind of funny, and that just kind of goes back into my hypothesis that the two fingers aren't as in control as they seem, because as she says here, there are things that exist beyond the ken, which means the knowledge of the two fingers, and by extension beyond the knowledge of the Golden Order, or not Golden Order, but the Greater Will. So with the Erdtree most likely having begun in an baptism of fire, so to speak, it is kind of interesting that the Two Fingers wouldn't want that to happen again, when that would essentially be necessary to kind of restart the cycle of bringing order to the lands between. So if the Greater Will doesn't really care about what kind of order there is, as long as that it's an order that doesn't really contradict the Greater Will, like perhaps the Frenzy Flame ending, or maybe arguably like Ronnie's ending. Like, what's the role of the Two Fingers and all that? Kind of lost my train of thought there, unfortunately. So yeah, I think the Greater Will itself wouldn't care so much if the Erdtree got burned. But then again, like, the Elden Beast does fight us, so maybe we are going against the wills of the Greater Will. Pun intended, I guess, I don't know. Elden Ring has the themes of the failure of immortality and corrupting natural order, for sure. And then it also has like a lot of the more Bloodborne elements where knowledge and seeking it can lead to the ruin of mankind, essentially, with like Selen's quest and stuff. It also has the themes of like yearning for power, causing terrible transformations with like the dragon communion stuff, although that's also in like Dark Souls as well. Fingers just seem to be emissaries on Earth. They look like antennas in a way and operate by communicating. Yeah, and I think that's the most common interpretation. I don't have anything against it, but I'm just, suspicious. If Merrick is made of stone, does she make children out of clay and lets consorts do unspeakable things to them, like a fish fertilizing external eggs? Hey, I mean, in the Bible, a man is made out of mud or clay. Burning is necessary to start anew. You think it only wants it burned when something stronger is there to replace it, hence the fighting the Elden Beast as a test. Yeah. Am I ever not suspicious? Pretty much when an item description is listed in such a way that it's not hearsay or doesn't leave room for interpretation. Like, as soon as we saw the Mending Rune of the Death Prince say that the Golden Order was created upon the removal of destined death, I was like, oh, I guess it's for real. But I guess I was still suspicious about the surrounding events, so maybe I'm never not suspicious. Oh yeah, and of course the stuff with the cosmos is definitely very Bloodborne. Thanks for bringing that up, Spaghetti. I knew there was something else, and I was just having a moment. All right, so talks about the fingers not permitting it, and then I did mention the prophet stuff with the cardinal sin briefly. Okay, so I think that's all I wanted to talk about in those 3 lines or whatever Enia just said. Like I said, there was a lot to unpack with what she said right there. So thanks for bearing with me there.
You must find kindling. Only the smoldering flame in the great forge of the giants on the highest peak in the lands between can burn the Erdtree. But special kindling is required to reignite the flame. For the flame to burn the Erdtree, a sacrifice is needed of one who envisions the flame and can lead you to the rune of death. You must find Umbers.
Alright, so that's kind of our direct call to action to burn the Erdtree and how to do it, obviously. The kindling that we will use will be Melina, and Enia says she needs to be one who envisions flame. We don't necessarily have to use Melina to burn the Erdtree. We can take on the Frenzied Flame for ourselves and do it. Oh yeah, maybe I should do that so that way we can spare Melina for the final ending. No, but then maybe I will go with Frenzy ending just because you get to see Melina and her Glowmai. I was thinking of doing Ronnie, and if I do the Frenzy Flame, that'll continue to confuse my audience and imply that I am a true Frenzy Flame adherent. So maybe I should just do that anyway, right? Alright, so we will come back to the remembrance stuff. Let's just go talk to Melina first.
Let the words of the fingers guide you.
May chaos take the world. Right. So I think Melina can talk to us here, and sometimes she can just like phase into the chair and it's goofy. Or maybe they took that out of the game. Alright, so let's go back to the Elden Throne, because it's thematic. Because after you talk to Enia about burning the Erdtree, Melina's like, oh, I'll do it. Yeah, I do like how Morgoth's body just kind of teleports. So they did move it. So his body is like over here on retail now, I think, rather than like right in front of his throne. I think they changed that in patch like 1.03, but I might be misremembering that. Which talk to Melina dialogue should I do? The top one? No, I'm not actual Frenzied Flame adherent.
Think not of the kindling. I shall see to that. All I ask of you is to make the journey to the snowy mountain tops of the giants, far above the clouds. I know I'm asking you to commit a cardinal sin, but it must be done to reach the path beyond, and that is the path I wish to travel. What is your mind? I wish to journey to the forge of the flame of Rose. Then, and I can guide you.
I kind of spaced out for her beginning dialogue, but yeah, she'll be the kindling maiden for us. And that is of her own volition, and after we talk to Shabibi, she'll say a bit more. It's kind of funny that these things returned. I didn't realize that would happen. Ronnie's chair is smaller than the others. That's kind of funny. Alright, so let's go back into the round table hold. Melina's a pyromaniac. Every FromSoft game needs one. Yeah, there is no Cornix or the other pyromancers from the Dark Souls game, so we have Melina now. Chaos Flame ending also 100% gets rid of Dungeater and Deathroot. If the world formed out of chaos once, it can do it again. Time for a clean reset. Alrighty. So we did kill a few more bosses. Okay, Fell Omen Cape. Robe worn by Morgoth, the Elden Lord. So they did change some things around. Originally, Morgoth was called the Elden Lord in some earlier version of the game. So I don't know if he was supposed to be Godfrey or like actually tied to him or something like that. It would have been kind of cool, but they did eventually change it. I don't know what their thought processes were behind that, but I don't think even in this version of the game this should be taken as like canonical information that he was the Elden Lord. So that's why I do like to show this stuff off, because even though it's fun to look at 1.0 stuff and be like, oh, that means this should have been canon, I think you can look at something like this and be like, okay, yeah, maybe we should take this stuff with a little bit of a heavier grain of salt after all. You're glad they changed that? That makes no sense. Yeah. So, did I look at this stuff? Yeah, I looked at this one. Oh yeah, and I don't even think I looked at the Wing of Estelle. I know I picked it up. And somebody mentioned it in the comments, but I don't remember if I actually read it. Where is it? Why am I blind? Is it a curved? Oh, yeah. Sword fashioned from a delicate wing suffused with the magic of the stars. Heavy attack unleashes a wave of enchanted light. Said to be taken from the remains of a being born of the dark that assailed an eternal city. Skill is Microcosm Burst. Creates a microcosm in front of the caster, triggering a nova outburst. A time delay between use of this technique and the explosion makes it difficult to wield. Very true, I've seen so many people get clapped for just trying to spam this ability because it's so slow, and then they just got punished. So I guess they did buff this quite a bit, but right. So this one is, I think, a lot more straightforward than the retail version of the game, but I don't remember exactly what the retail one said. All right, let's go back to these remembrances. Bastard Stars. Flail which deals magic damage, having been imbued with the power by the remembrance of Estelle. Formed of the same many-colored star debris that comprise the natural born of the Void's body. So it's kind of weird how much they switched it around. So he's called the Misbegotten here, Bastard here, and then Natural Born at the bottom. So it sounds like they were just kind of all over the place. So maybe these all got translated at different times. Just because I would like to believe that they just didn't take the time to realize they translated one thing like literally 3 different ways in the span of, 1.5 items. I guess it's technically 2, but they didn't necessarily have the context that this would connect to this in a menu. Ashabor, Storm of Darkness, grants an armament the skill Magic Eruption. And so this one is called Star Cloud, which that's literally what a nebula is. And Starfall there. So it's kind of funny to just see all the little differences. So yeah, somebody asked on one of the previous streams like what Estelle is made out of. This very explicitly states that it's formed out of star debris. So Estelle is star debris. Some of this stuff's really cool, just like the twin Nox Maiden puppets. Thanks for the effort of showing this around. Oh no, it's my pleasure. I'm just glad you guys are here to enjoy it with me. We don't really know what Elden Lord means other than America's champion / husband. Like, why do they have responsibilities? They have to sit on a throne and look pretty. You gotta be eye candy. You enjoy the process of seeing how the story is refined and developed, for sure. One of the items describes Estelle as a star, and the game makes some references to stars being living beings. Yeah, so even though he's star debris, he is called a malformed star. Although maybe it doesn't say it exactly that way in the English, but that is what he is. Instead of like the natural born of the void, I would take issue with that and say he's more like the bastard, is in the bastard stars, the bastard of darkness. Because I think the stuff relating to darkness is supposed to be an explicit reference to eternal darkness, the spell, which is also different in this version of the game. So, just to like say that and keep it in mind, I do think it's important to contextualize like how little time the translators must have had between when the game went gold to get all of their ducks in a row. So I don't really blame them for missing that. Oh, hey, this updated description is supposed to coincide with another item's updated description. So I think they were just trying to get the work done on schedule. So it's a really tough gig for sure. Especially because the game is so damn cryptic. They just have to make executive decisions and let the cards lie sometimes. So we looked at her stuff, or did we? Staff used by Ronaldo the Fertile, Proprietress of Rea Lucaria. Nothing else too crazy. Transforms into moon and attack enemies. We looked at his. Yeah, I did read that one, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. So, Morgott's Cursed Sword. Warped blade of shifting hue used by Morgott, Lord of the Omen. This blade appears to have been warped by his accursed blood through his years of isolation and confinement. So the skill is Blood Blade, causing an explosion of blood. And apparently in retail, he doesn't actually use Blood Flame, is kind of what it sounded like on the Discord earlier today. But we did look through the footage of this playthrough, and he did hit me exactly one time, fortunately, and I did get the bleed debuff. So Morgott does have Blood Flame in this version of the game, but they might have taken that away. I'll need to double check that sometime. Would Estelle be able to control anyone's fate like stars at large are supposed to? I don't know. I don't think so. I almost get the feeling that he's kind of like a cannibal and he would just consume them. So I guess you could make the argument if he ate somebody else, he would control the fate that way. But I don't know. Oops. Regal Scapegoat Bairn. A doll tinged with many years' worth of curses. Use FP to blah blah blah. So this is a little bit more explicit that these dolls are cursed, and this one has way more horns on it than the other Baron effigy, which we don't have right now. I don't think I even picked it up yet. But yeah. Big surprise, Omen horns have curses embedded within them. So, Remembrance of the Lich Dragon. To Ancient Descendant Ransacks. Drive multiple lightning stakes into ground. Causes a black lightning to strike around the caster. Fortisax's Death Storm. Fortisax's Lance. But he's Ransacks here. So, yeah. Apparently Lansax is an ancient dragon descendant. I don't think that's true. They probably walked that all back.
Now go forth, let the war.
Alright, so those are all those remembrances. Now, time to go back towards Volcano Manor. Why do I always try to warp through those? 9th Gelmir campsite. Keeping in mind the material conditions that form the game brings a lot of the inconsistencies into context. You seem to remember him doing Blood Flame sparingly in Phase 2, but maybe you're crazy. So I think the effects are the same. I know for the cutscene, they removed the Blood Flame as he breaks open his weapon. So I'll need to go back and fight him in Phase 2 on the most recent patch. To see if his blade causes hemorrhaging, or if his blood flame does, rather. Smoldering butterfly. So I know it'll come this way eventually. Oh Lord, he coming? Oh, I thought I missed him. Ash of War through and through. So that's definitely different. Morgott was legitimately blessed. Poor Morgott. Yeah. Somebody asked in the Discord today, where does Grace Given come from? And in Japanese, he's Shukufuku no Morgott. So I said Morgott weird. It's kind of like Do I go with the full Japanese pronunciation? Do I go with the American one? So anyway, Shikufuku means like blessing, so he's like literally the blessed Morgott, rather than just like straight up grace given. Or you could say like the graced Morgott. Blessing, grace, it's kind of the same word. Right, so coming up here, we do have a bunch of dudes that have been like hung upside down, almost Bloodborne style. Which I wonder if that's significant, because most of the other hung things in the lands between are hung by the neck. These ones almost seem like they were led to bleed out. But anyway, ignoring like the dulls, we do have this big troll over here, and it will also use frenzy flame incantations. With this part being related to Rykard and Rykard's desire to rebel against the Erdtree, I wonder if the Frenzied Flame troll as well as the Langdale soldiers are meant to be related to Rykard's research in trying to burn the Erdtree, because further down the mountain we actually have a burned minor Erdtree. The map of Mount Gelmir. Oof. So, where is it? Should be able to see. Okay, yeah, there it is. So that over there in the distance is the burned Erdtree behind the gigantic upside down troll corpses. So Rykard did something to burn down that Erdtree. We know he's been probably studying flames of different varieties, because we've got the Frenzy Flame trolls out here. We've got the Black Flame monk on the inside of the Volcano Manor. And of course, the stuff relating to Ghost Flame and Rykard's lava sorceries more specifically. So I think he was just most likely researching all kinds of flames that he could. Slight tangent. In America's Echoes, where she divests Godfrey and the Knights of their Grace, the conversation almost seems friendly, as if Godfrey and his men did want to go die as warriors and not adhere to the Golden Order. Yeah, it's really contradictory at times. Because even though she says that, it says that, like, Godfrey was hounded from the lands between. At least that's what Muriel says. Oh, I should leave this dude up for a little bit. For the frenzy flame stuff. Uh-oh. Wait, why does it look more like lightning? Is that just that spell? Oh god. So yeah, after he performs that one, he like staggers and falls over. So we'll just warp to the inside of Volcano Manor and ambush him. Is the sentiment expressed the same way in Japanese between her talking to Godfrey? I don't think it was like super friendly or anything like that. I think it was pretty plain. But I would need to double check. Rykard is now the prime pyromaniac. It is supposed to be more of a flame thing, so that might have just been like a placeholder asset. Just trying to have the dolls drop down. Well. Oh god. I learned nothing if I lose all my runes. Zoink Scoob. Ow. The troll's weakness is the big boy's weakness. Alright, crisis averted. So this is the exterior of Volcano Manor. Nothing too crazy going on here. Although I guess I really haven't looked at this too closely. Okay. Rykard versus Moog, who's worse? FromSoft has all the trolley problems. Well, I don't know if Moog tormented people, but Rykard definitely did. Or at least, like, Moog's torment is different. Yeah, that's perfect. Alright, so Patches has already kicked us off. Dialos we talked to in the Roundtable Hold. So we should be pretty much set here. I guess we could have talked to Raya. Yeah, depending on whether you let her teleport you here or if you join of your own accord, her dialogue will differ ever so slightly. But I guess I'm not too worried about it. So we do have Tanith and a random Crucible Knight. So I do think it's important to note that some of the Crucible Knight's allegiances have seemed to change. But also with the way that Rykard is going about becoming Elden Lord, it is almost analogous to the idea of like the might makes right that Godfrey kind of alludes to in saying that a crown is warranted with strength. So maybe in some ways Rykard's ideals are the most in line with the Crucible, because consuming things makes like all the life get melded together when you eat everything whole like a snake does. But I don't really know. Maybe this dude really did just have a change of heart. Also, this scene is just super cool looking with Tanith and the Crucible Knight in front of the Rykard portrait. But I guess I really never noticed on the portrait itself. They've got a bunch of like the little hands coming out. It's cool. Oh, I guess that's a blasphemous blade before it became too blasphemous. Cool. Moog literally kidnapped his little brother to become his consort. He could have been brainwashed by Mikola to do it accidentally. Radahn was the good child. The other two were Macaulay Culkin. So, okay, Radahn is Elijah Wood. Got it. Radahn got all the unga bunga. The others got the brains. I mean, it does take a decent amount of intelligence to cast the gravity sorcery. He's not completely unga and bunga.
Brave Tarnished. Welcome to the Volcano Manor. I am Tanith, the proprietress of this house. Raya spoke well of you, a warrior of promise, I believe she said. Perhaps you are prepared to make a commitment. Will you join us here at the Volcano Manor and resist the tide? Why accept the burden of their grace, or be fooled by the dogmatic ramblings of the Fingers? Rise with us against the Erdtree. Well, that is unfortunate. Raya will be disappointed, but I won't twist your arm. Now, time for you to leave, I should think. Let this intersection of our paths be the last.
Teen Sith thinks sometimes maybe characters aren't secretly evil, conniving, or have ulterior motives. Nah, that's blasphemy. You're just a Rykard lover, a blasphemy blade user, a blasphemy tongue haver.
What's this? Have you reconsidered the prospect of rising with us against the Erdtree? Very well. Your decision is most welcome. Now you belong to the Volcano Manor family. The drawing room lies down the hall. Make yourself comfortable.
We get the drawing room key. So, Rykard's plan is just burn the Erdtree, then question marks? Does he just chill out and eat people sometimes? Gotta have more than one step to your plan. So, okay. Rykard's plan is step 1, burn the Erdtree. Step 2, eat everything. Step 3, question marks. Step 4, profit. It's that simple.
The drawing room is through the hall. Use the key I handed you, and make yourself comfortable.
All right. Blasphemy copium to you?
Someone please kill him. That horrendous serpent. Praetor Rykard.
Does this dude have a voice? Did they take that out?
Someone please kill him. That horrendous serpent. Praetor Rykard.
I thought they made him more of like a ghost. I might be misremembering. Like, a ghost isn't like the little fungus boys that don't actually talk. He is voiced? Okay, thank you.
Tarnished. Here to put the demigods to the sword. Then please, kill the great serpent. The one that devoured Praetor Rykard. I left the serpent-slaying spear in the Lord's chamber. Worthy Tarnished. Brandish the spear and run him through. The great serpent. That unspeakable monstrosity. Praetor Rykard's ambitions, though blasphemous, marked him a worthy sovereign, but they were reduced to gluttonous depravity once he gave himself to the serpent. Whatever that thing is, it is no longer Praetor Rykard. Someone must kill him to spare him and his ambitions from further dishonor.
You love how the ghost is just chilling in the hallway and nobody mentions him?
Worthy Tarnished. I left the serpent-slaying spear in the Lord's chamber. It is the only thing that can kill that horror. Run it through. The great serpent, that unspeakable monstrosity.
Yeah, so Capenda, I think with his dialogue here, I've always just thought the body in the Rykard arena was this guy's as well.
Worthy Tarnished.
Okay, so that's that. That gives us kind of an insight into Rykard's methods there. In some ways, I think you could say that Rykard is a little bit analogous to Aldrich in their desire to consume the world and drown it in everything. That one is blocked shut. Thought so. Don't know why I spaced out. Let's check out the drawing room key. Key to the room given to you at Volcano Manor. A room given to defectors. So defector there is essentially like recusant. The Japanese for it is like back ordered person. So like you turn your back on the order. If you look at the icon here, there's a giant snake that's kind of like twisting around the Erdtree, like they're choking it. I think you get the same thing there. Yeah, this one's just a bit more colored and stuff. Oh, I guess there's two snakes at the top, kind of. Never noticed that. if Mikola is saying Trina, it might be literal bewitching and dreaming abilities. Yeah, I think there's really no reason to doubt it, especially when you look at the two lilies side by side, especially. So we got Mikola's lily and Trina's lily. It's the same picture. One is just gold and wilted and a little bit greener, and one's a little bit more purple and less wilted.
I've been waiting for you. I knew you had the stuff of champions. I hereby invite you to the Volcano Manor. Take my hand and have audience with my mistress. Brave Tarnished, under Lady Tanith's guidance, may you tread the path of valor. Brave Tarnished, under Lady Tanith's guidance, may you tread the...
So I think Raya's naive enough to believe that they were actually on a kind of virtuous path when they are on a very deceptive path where might makes right. And since Rykard is the most mighty, that makes him the most righty, I guess. I didn't mean to say it that way, but okay. Yeah. So we've talked to Bernal before in the War Master Shack, except he didn't have his goofy looking helmet on. So now he seems almost like a completely different person. He seems a lot more standoffish. But before that, let's pick up these items. The Recusant finger and a letter from Volcano Manor. I know this would be an info one, wouldn't it? No, I'm wrong. Request for tarnished hunting from Volcano Manor. You've been asked to fulfill your duty as a defector rebelling against the Erdtree. See the marking on the map for your task. So it should be... No, that's the one for there. It should be here. Maybe it's just not marked, because we already have the other one marked? I wonder if that's, like, screwing it up. Alright. So, what else did we pick up? Oh yeah, we picked up the map of Gelmir a while ago. Map of Mount Germia and environs.
You. What in heaven's name are you doing here? The Volcano Manor is a pit of recusants who spit at grace and hunt our own kind. I hope you understand the weight of my words.
Rykard was stronger than Radahn? No, I just meant in terms of like the hierarchy of Volcano Manor. Rykard is the strongest, so he makes the rules there. And also welcome back to the stream. You wish the wheel had the pizza cutters moveset? Yeah, I'll talk about that when we get to it. I don't want to... So, depending on what you say to Bernal, his dialogue will kind of reflect that, and you don't get the chance to like undo and redo it. So, we can say that we understand what we're doing here.
Well, as long as you understand what you're saying. You have harbored doubts from the very beginning. Perhaps this day was always lurking on the horizon. But know that the path you walk is blasphemy and leads only to a miserable death. Before you consider hunting any of your own kind, think on that.
So that's something I really enjoy, that our initial dialogue with Bernal kind of influences how he talks to us now. We told him when he asked us how we feel about like the Golden Order that we have our doubts in the beginning, that we shouldn't necessarily trust the fingers, I think it was. And so now that we brought up that we understand what we're getting into, he's like, okay, well, I guess you were always that way, so it makes sense. So yeah, it's just some small flavorful stuff that I enjoy.
This blasphemous path leads only to a pitiful death. Before you consider hunting any of your own kind, think on that.
Alrighty, so that's pretty much up everything with him. Now we have this jerk, this nobody,
Oh, it's you, is it? Well, nice to see you again. So you've been invited as well, I see. Then we're comrades in arms henceforth. You watch my back, and I'll watch yours. Yes? I can tell. You're wondering about Lanya. Well, you see, after much internal debate, I've come to realize revenge is not the answer. According to Lady Tanith, I've got the stuff of champions. And champions, ironic as it is, are oft forced to walk a tainted path. It hit me like a bolt from the blue, that my former thoughts were simple naivety. Of course my heart weeps for Lanya. That unfortunate incident was a cruel twist of fate indeed. But succumbing to the pain and sadness caused won't make me a champion, will it? Lanya knows this, I'm certain. Fate has laid hard roads for us both, but such is true of any road trod by champions.
Dialos is a brain genius, huh? So, in a sense, there is a little bit of truth to his words in the context of Elden Ring and trying to become an Elden Lord, but yeah, he is certainly a bit of a brain genius, you can say. And as Cantrell said, you watch your tongue, he saved the pot village. If only that were true in this version of the game. There is no pot village to really save in this one, because there's no Jar Baron and his quest doesn't actually lead him down that way. So I'm perfectly fine insulting him for now. Oh no, exactly.
I always resented these hands. Their pale complexion. A far cry from any warriors. The shame of House Hoslow. But that won't be the case for long. They'll be darkened by grit once I've set out on the path of champions. The tale of House Hoslow is told in blood, after all.
You know, I never really noticed that he talked about his pale hands in this version of the game, or just in general, which is kind of funny because they kind of make a reference to the hands in the Jar Village. Because I haven't really bothered to do his quest a lot. Ever since I got, the items from the Jar Barons, I never really went back there. So, kind of funny that they made a reference out of his dialogue. It might have been planned because, the Jar Baron stuff came out really quickly after release. Well, probably wasn't even like a month? Maybe it was a month, somewhere around there. So.
I always resented these hands. They're pale, but that won't be they'll be dark. The tale.
Alright, so those are the people of the Volcano Manor.
Brave-turned.
Let's go talk to Tanith again. Maybe Patches has shown up. But we might need to rest to see him. That's what I thought. Told in blood, yeah, from them dying. Now, his brother's the badass, but Dialos has always had, the little brother syndrome. There's hey, wait for me. Okay. Our favorite Slav is back in action.
Well, you joined the manor, huh? I don't believe it. Didn't think you had it in you. And here I thought Raya was barking up the wrong tree. All good, though. We're on the same side now. We'll do good work together. Oh, and of course, we can do business, if you like. Patch's Emporium at the Volcano Manor. Specially for you.
So his inventory is the same. I'm out of runes again. That's funny. We can always buy an infinite amount of the serpent arrows from him. But let's talk about Patches.
Are you surprised that I belong to the Volcano Manor? I always hated the gibberish about lost grace and the laughable two fingers. I thought I could lend a hand in unmasking the charade. Not to mention, Tanith has always made me curious. I guess her master must really be something, because she's pretty damn smug about it. Even after announcing her blasphemous ambitions, she still stands proud. I've never seen a woman quite like her.
Patches just likes her because she hates clerics too. It's my headcanon.
Stingy little beggar. Try to find it in your heart next time, eh?
Okay, so they do have him complaining about our lack of generosity in this version of the game too. Maybe he doesn't say anything in like the first couple encounters, even in retail. So yeah, before dealing with Tanith, let's go on upstairs and get attacked. Golden smithing stone. Torturer Giza. So she has on the like ruler's attire. I don't actually know what helm that is. I don't remember what's just like a mummy looking like thing. And Giza's wheel. I think she's called Inquisitor Giza in retail. But as far as like the Japanese goes, like torture is slightly close, but you could say like Inquisitor is synonymous with torture, to be honest. So, okay. Yeah, when I first saw the Giza wheel, I was super excited. I thought it was going to be like a trick weapon in Elden Ring, so I thought it would have been really cool if certain weapons had Ashes of War and then others could be tricked like in Bloodborne. I was so happy to see it, and then it just kind of didn't work the way I was expecting, and I was a little bit disappointed. Great iron wheel lined with jagged blades. Divisive torture used by Inquisitor Giza. Okay, so she is Inquisitor. The wheel's rotation causes severe pain and blood loss. The design was adopted for use as the iconic weapon wielded by iron version traps. Wheeling strike, rather. Spinning wheel is what it's called here. Patches' place in this game still makes little sense to you, but that's always his role. He seems like a mouthpiece for the writers. It's painful to watch at the least. Oof. A lot of trickish weapons that aren't the same. It's all good. I mean, I don't really blame them. But I am a little bit sad that they didn't kind of make a return. But hey, you know, the DLC will fix everything, right? So yeah, behind Tanith, there is the one portrait of Rykard. There's another one in here. He's got on another kind of like official / ruler attire. I don't ever really remember the difference between like the 5 or 6 variants there are, whatever they are. And Tanith also has on a kind of set like that as well, although hers is called the consort's attire. So it almost seems like he has on a mask in this portrait. But he's a Praetor. Oh, yeah. So this dude, this kind of naked guy that's doing something a little bit suspicious, his relief sculpture appears in the Cathedral of the Deep. So that's some reused assets right there. I've seen that before, but I don't remember where exactly off the top of my head. This stuff almost looks like the Fair Missoula stuff, but it is a little bit different. What a line. And this looks like a burning of an Erdtree, the Erdtree. We don't know if this is like an artist depiction of what Rykard envisions, or if this is actually supposed to have been something that happened in the historical record. So you can kind of take this either way. But if the Erdtree was burned, this could potentially be the depiction of the Cardinal Sin, and it might be something that Rykard wants to emulate again. Reused in a video game? Crazy time, I know, right, Spectre? How you doing, man? Welcome back. There should be a small chance if you die to the Elden Beast, Patches deals the final blow and sits on the throne. Nah, if you summon Patches for the Radahn fight, he just, like, dips out. It's absolutely hilarious. Oh, yeah. Before doing that, there was some other stuff I wanted to show off in here. So we do have the portrait of Radahn. in the center of this room above the mantelpiece, which is really cool. You get to kind of get a look at him, what he was like before he got scarlet rotted. We don't know which sibling was born first between Rykard, Radahn, and Ranni, but some people think Rykard might have came first because he looks older and has a beard. I don't exactly feel comfortable making a claim either way. You might be able to make the case that Ranni is the youngest because she's the favorite child of Rennella, but who knows, really? Because these portraits could have also just been done at different parts in their lives.
Did you read the letter left for you? That is the task the Volcano Manor desires you enact. You will be compensated once the deed is done. Good luck. If you are loath to hunt your own kin, so be it. But you must leave this house at once. This is a war against the Erdtree. We have no place for the meek, nor the luxury of keeping clean hands. The letter describes the task the Volcano Manor desires you enact. You will be compensated once the deed is done. Good luck.
It's a bit weird because if a praetor is a like military rank, it makes it a bit more difficult to tell apart whether Radahn or Rykard would be the oldest. Because typically the oldest child would stay with the family to kind of inherit things, and the second would either join the military or the clergy. So it's a little bit up in the air if they're both like high-ranking officials in the religion or military. I don't think Patches says anything else after we rest, but just to check.
Hello again.
That's what I thought.
Steam.
So you can come to the back of Volcano Manor early by like walking into that door, which is super cool. I really like how they made it optional at like what point you can kind of come through here. Like you can complete the Volcano Manor questlines to get directly brought to Rykard. You can follow Raya's instructions about it, or you could just fumble into it yourself. So you can come here extremely early, or essentially wait until after you finally get to the consecrated snowfield. Or not that part, but the mountaintops of the giants. So what was I doing? Oh yeah, we need to go commit some tarnished murder, essentially. Should be the dude. I think the first one is here. Isn't that the wall you gotta hit a bunch in retail? No. I'll show that off maybe in a little bit after we do this one and or the next couple hunts. Rykard had some sort of Inquisitor or Praetor rank in the Golden Order, which he thinks suggests he spent more time with Radagon than the others, so he's the oldest. Stella, nice to see you again. Katie says Carians seem to be more matriarchal, and Ranni stayed in the Enia, and she's probably inherited the most. Maybe. Where is my path? Reading chat. So it should be over here somewhere, right? Before the snails. Thought it was on the beaten path, though. Okay, yeah, I was just way off base. There we go. Aldegusto says, it doesn't quite work here because this isn't a religion like Christianity where you become monks and priests and not have kids. The queen is also kind of the Pope Jesus. So part of the reason why I bring up like tradition in real life affecting things is because even though Rykard, Radon, and Ronnie's dad is Marika, at the very least, they are not straight Erdtree royalty because they're Karian's first, sort of. So that's kind of why I brought that line of thinking into things. But either way, even if you ignore that, or even if you include it, it's still ambiguous. It's a bit rough. He could have been a heretic hunter and went, wait, they had some good points. He didn't go crazy. He hated the Golden Order. Sad you have to kill Istvan because he's well known for helping New Tarnished in their journeys. Stone Knight Istvan. Wasn't he called something else? So does he have a dismounter? Yeah, it kind of looks like it. What set is this? Oh, this is the iron set, I think. This is actually a pretty cool looking set, I think. Maybe a bit underrated. But I'm a maroon trying to drink twice. Old Knight Istvan? Okay. Drake scale. I thought it was Drake, but I doubted myself. Because I was thinking of the Loretta stuff. Okay. Where are we at? Helm made from layered ancient dragon scales. So that's different. Same thing. Okay. So nothing too crazy with that. Let's head on back to La Manor. Right, Tanith. You ever have that feeling where you walk in the room and forget why you walked in? I just had that moment.
You've completed your task. I am pleased. Now you are a recusant true, and a full-fledged member of the Volcano Manor. This is your reward, as promised.
Magma shot?
Never forget that the recusant fights to tread the path of the champion. The way is tainted, but for this very reason, it is the true path to valor. Now you are a recusant true, and a full-fledged member of the Volcano Manor. I am pleased to have you on our side.
Alright, so now the other NPCs will have more dialogue as well. So let's go see them. And check our magma shot. Fire's bursting chunk of lava. So it is in its own category between like hexes and sorceries. I don't know, it's a little bit weird thinking about the delineation of hexes and sorceries because they're still called sorceries here. But it is 1.0, so they might have reworded it, but I highly doubt it.
Have you ever heard any strange sounds here at the manor? Something beyond the walls? Like breathing or slithering scales? Oh, Phi, what am I saying? It just isn't possible. I must be tired.
ADHD moment? Doesn't everybody have those moments from time to time?
Sometimes I hear strange sounds beyond the walls, like breathing or slithering scales. Oh, perhaps I'm just feeling tired.
So, you've blooded your sword in the hunt. Then I shall introduce myself once more. Banal. A recusant, just like you. Recusants have particular battle arts, styled to our methods of slaughter. Why not add some to your repertoire?
So this is a little bit weird. Maybe not weird. So he calls himself a recusant here. So the recusant stuff must have been done, at a decent time in terms of like coming up with terminology for translations. So based on that, I think they must have been given a lot of the chunks of the base game text to work with before the game obviously went gold. But hold on, let me think of how to phrase it. They must have had a decent amount of the base game translated at one point. Then they worked on dialogue, and then they came back to the base game stuff and touched it up later. So, maybe there is a bigger gap between when a lot of this stuff was written and when it got patched in, between the time it going gold and going to day one, like live game stuff. So that's really not too uncommon. So if you ever work on a project that's like related to translation, there is going to be a fairly significant time gap, or there is always going to be this big time gap, but it's fairly common for there to be a time gap between when you get the draft to work on, when you make your translations and submit it back to the developers, and then the time it would take for them to patch it into the game. There is a kind of a technical budget that needs to be done that will free somebody up to put those in the game and like test it out properly and all that stuff. So it can be a fairly time consuming process, all things considered. And so there's probably like multiple points of iteration that they went through. So it's just a little bit strange to me that like it's recusant here, but defector on some of the items. So I would assume those items must have been written before they came up with the recusant stuff here. So that's just me going off on a tangent. Now I don't even remember what he said because I like hyper fixated on the recusant thing. So maybe that's more of an ADHD moment. You're a wreck if your ADHD goes unmedicated.
You've come to understand now, eh? To take power and make it his own. The recusant must hunt his own kind. To raise the flag of revolt against this sanctified pillaging, we recusants must become the most wretched of predators. All you can do is laugh.
So yeah, somebody asked the other day, like, if we could include an ending into the game. I think maybe now that I'm thinking about it, I do sympathize quite a bit with like these recusants because they want to turn their backs on the Erdtree. But I don't know if that's just them more being edgy because they don't exactly seem much more altruistic than many of the other factions. Who all in the chat relates to too much ADHD memes? Everybody relates Teen Sith. Everybody. So yeah, this is Bernal. We can still learn those skills from him. He has a few more, like Eruption, which is really cool. Man, this Ash of War icon looks cooler. I don't remember if that's the same in retail. Assassin's Gambit looks super cool too.
Well, until we meet again.
Oh yeah, Love Sirius Black. You mentioned something earlier, but I don't remember if I welcomed you to the stream, so welcome. We get another letter. Anyone else play games while listening to videos at the same time? It depends. Sometimes I will like listen to more podcasty type stuff, like things that I don't need to actively watch, like my stream, for instance. So that's why I try to like read out the comments that I'm interacting with, because I do enjoy not having to like keep my eyes completely focused on the screen Sometimes Astyanax, yeah. Kenchel says you don't know what ADHD is. It's a modern phenomenon. Probably the water these days. They've said attention spans have shortened because people consume too much info at once / social media rewriting how the brain works. Dude, it's freaking true though. Like, I remember being a kid and I was able to hyperfixate on games and things way more than I'm able to now. And like, I had a lot more patience for reading, but it's a lot harder to get into that just because it's so easy to like get caught scrolling on Reddit or whatever social media platform you prefer. So I mean, I can focus on things at times. It's just different. And also the pace of life back then was much slower before like the internet really took off. Like, part of me is a little bit wistful for those days, but I'm also very glad to be able to have the access to the internet at my fingertips. I think it's not really an exaggeration to say that if somebody like loses extended contact with the internet, it's almost equivalent to losing a limb to a certain degree. Obviously, you'll be able to cope a lot better without losing a limb in real life, but people don't really realize how much of a crutch it is in their everyday lives, I think. I mean, they do, but they also don't until they're deprived of it. Kind of like the old Bloodborne item description where it's like, you don't even realize how sweet your blood is until like you've tasted it. No, that's not the right one. Insight is like only realizing something that you had within you when it's no longer there. That's not what it said exactly, but that's kind of the idea that I was going for. The dopamine machine broke. Just like the McDonald's ice cream machine, right? ADHD is detectable on fMRIs. Oh, cool. I didn't know that at all. Capenda really sympathizes with Bernal. He kind of reminds you of Viken, that he was a viable contender to become Elden Lord, but deviated due to traumatic reasons, respectively. Yeah. Bernal is pretty tragic. He's really cool. Also kind of a jerk, but kind of understandable why he became such an edgy boy. Cancel's the same. You had to train yourself back because you realize your attention span deteriorated. People would lose their minds if we lost electricity, so societal collapse ensues. Oh yeah, if we lost electricity, it'd be catastrophic. It does hit you fast and hard. Yeah, not being able to afford electricity bill, like, that's terrible. I would much rather just people like get a temporary blackout than have to deal with that. Are we more distractible now, or is content more distracting now? That's a good question. I think it's probably a bit of both. Goddess Spaghetti missed it, but what's Bernal's deal? You didn't really miss it. We're kind of like leapfrogging ahead to the end of his quest, essentially, where we learn that Bernal's maiden more or less sacrificed herself to the flame of ruins to burn the Erdtree, and he kind of became a recusant after the fact because he was very upset that that happened, which, you know, does kind of play into the whole Vike questline where Shabriri tries to entice us to save Melina by embracing the frenzied flame, because Vike may have been enticed by Shabriri or just whatever, it doesn't really matter. But nonetheless, when we do encounter Vike by the church in Liurnia, the Frenzy Flame Church, the Church of Inhibition, I think it is, we do see presumably his finger maiden dead next to the side of Grace in that church as well. You were so confused when he attacked us. I think it's just like, we killed Rykard, and he's not really angry about that. But because we killed Rykard at that point in the quest, we've become the de facto king of the hill. And the whole deal of the Volcano Manor is whoever's king of the hill rules. And so he's a champion, we're a champion. We're both destined to come to a duel to become the Elden Lord, or to challenge the Elden Lord in the Elden Ring and all that stuff. So it's only natural for the Volcano Manor modus operandi. Yeah, you are the big snake.
I always resented these hands.
Okay.
The tale of House.
So he says nothing. Did I completely deplete her dialogue? I think I did.
Sometimes, like...
Yep. Yeah, so that's her hint about the walls. So now is as good a time as any to show this off again. This is the wrong room. Now is as good as any to show that off again. Snail. Can it kill me in the pacified area? That's messed up. Wedding horn. So I think this wall is also breakable. I'm pretty confident it is. Actually, I wonder if the silver mist helps. I highly doubt it, but kind of curious. Typically, something like the Giza wheel is your best bet, just because it can constantly deal damage. So I'm going to go kill all the other stuff along the way, and then I'm going to come back with the wheel and just spin to win. And because this area is so cramped, Hoarfrost Stomp is not the way. Bro. Of course, I should have known better. And then I took it off. You didn't know there was another maiden who killed themselves? Where do we learn that? It's in, I think, it's either his armor set or the weapon he has. Its AI is hard locked to the hallway in retail? Oh, that's cool. The strongest rules is kind of philosophy that everyone in the FromSoft games follows, as well as in real life, before we discovered altruism. I mean, even technically, it's still true in real life. It's just there's more strength in numbers and cooperation, so it just makes way more sense to cooperate because apes together is strong. Where's... Oh, it's just like coming from like behind its head rather than like its actual face. It's funny. So this hidden wall gives us the fallen perfumer Carman's ashes. And that kind of tipped people off to the idea that this could be a hidden door. But when they hit it, nothing really happened, right? Well, some crazy dude decided to hit it like 1,000 times, essentially. And it opened up. So even though I can't use this properly, I should still actually be fine. How much dex do I have? Let's put on the Radigan thing. And hopefully by dual handing it, we should be good. No, I'm just ever so slightly low. But we do have the Radon thing. All right, now we're good. So spinning wheel. Should be holding it. Or is there something else to this? Did they change how this works? It's Pinwheel. We're born of the blood, made men by the blood. The MRI thing is surreal. Negativity bias is your personal downfall with today's content. Kentrell said, you think somebody mentioned in a brain pattern being detectable with the MRI? Okay, there we go. They would detect brain changes and unusual patterns. You forget the chemical, not endorphins, but those addicted to those boosts or constantly seek them out have the same brains as heroin addicts. So yeah, this is a false wall. It leads into the room with Bernal. The funny thing is, like, you could try to charge up and hit him, but it doesn't really do anything. So we got to show off the old false wall. They did eventually patch this out, I think, in version 1.06, or it might have been 1.07. You can only access it from behind, yes. Because the other wall, or the other side of the wall, is a pacified area. Maybe you'd be able to roll through it with the Briar set. But as far as I know, these walls technically have health boxes. So you need to actually deal damage to them. Alright, so yeah, this one's able to be opened too. And this goes into Raya's room. And I believe whenever you reset the area, they'll come back. But maybe not. So that's that. Alright, our map is still marked by the other thing. So the next one should be by Shaded Castle. So we'll probably go there next-ish. Killing a wall with a pizza cutter. You love video games. Wait, why did we go this way? Oh, yeah. We need to go by the first nail room. And actually, like, down the stairs or whatever it is. So coming over here, we are going to run into another Bloodhound Knight. And this makes me wonder whether or not Darrowil was meant to serve Rykard as well, since we've got this random guy over here. But to be fair, I guess I should have looked at his legs and whatnot. There is the random Bloodhound Knight in Caelid. So they don't necessarily have to be related to Rykard. But if a Bloodhound Knight like Darrowil did try to kill Ranni, and he served Rykard as well, that'd be kind of cool stuff to just show, like, the sibling rivalry in action. But that's just all, like, super subtextual stuff. Nothing really substantial to back it up. Oh yeah, I guess we could go back to Raya Lucaria to get eaten by the Iron Maiden. That's not technically a maiden. So yep, we get into the volcano town. Does the music change? Or is it just gone? No, still the Stormvale Castle theme. Bonk. Okay. So let's warp on back over to the Shaded Castle area. Blackguard's Bridge? What? What does this have to do with Blackguard? I'm confused. So anyway, setting aside the shaded castle invasion for a second, let's just go see Anastasia. No, I changed my mind. It's a silly place. We're gonna go back to the shaded castle. We'll do the Anastasia stuff after we deal with the burned minor Erdtree's avatar thing. They're not hidden walls, just recent construction by Snake Dad. Are these worm? Oh yeah, I guess we are kind of by that. Got some random worm faces. So it should be up here, I think. Sweet. I did remember the order. Invade Riley the Idol's world. And then we get the Crepus's vial from him, which is a super good item. One of the best in the game, really. I wonder if that's like Crepus's crossbow. So he has on the... What's it called? Not Conquistador set. Is this an Inquisitor set? I thought it started with a C. What was that dagger that he had? Oh, the Scorpion Stinger? What is that? I'm not getting Scarlet Rotted. Like, it almost looks like a Reduvia, but I mean, we're also not getting blood either. Am I complaining about not getting rotted because I wanted it to work? Because there's a lot of broken weapons in this version of the game, and I think the Scorpion Stinger might be one of them. Golden Roa. Confessor. Thank you, Christina. Yeah, so he was wearing the Confessor set, which is kind of cool. So he should be from outside the lands between, which is, you know, par for the course with the Tarnished. So we get the Crepus's vial. Oh, that's why I took so much damage. Forgot. Small bottle sealing away the shadow of death. Eliminates all sound made by the wearer. So this is a little bit different than the retail build. And now we will be apparently not silent. Hopefully we're still silent to others. I'm going to have to test this out. Maybe this doesn't work. Should be funny and terrible at the same time. So let's us go... Where'd be a good place? Just to test this super quickly, let's go to the balcony. Hey Christina, also welcome back to the stream. In this build, they're called Intelligencers. Oh yeah, is that right? We had a merchant with their set. Yeah, because it was like, oh, it's almost like Edgar in Bloodborne. I don't think I said that out loud, but I thought that. So he saw me. I'm not too worried about that. Nikes. Crescent Axe. We've already gotten like 3 of those. So we need to go upstairs, but they're all looking like straight that way. So maybe rolling continue to make noise because we don't have footsteps. And those dudes are going to turn around. There should be more patrolling dudes, right? I will say, like, one of the bad things about Hoarfrost Stomp is that it almost, like, makes things look like they're dropping items and they get frozen. So it gets your hopes up. Maybe not your hopes, but certainly mine. Alright, seems like we're actually silent. Oh yeah, that dude immediately heard me. Alright, so back to the manor for the status report. The fire sounded like something scurrying by.
I see you've performed another task for us. Here is your usual reward. Please, take it.
Serpent Bone Blade. I also really like this weapon.
Now, perhaps the time has come to tell you of the true ruler of this manor, Lord Rykard. The Erdtree blessed the Tarnished with grace, but it was all too meager in the face of the enormity of their task. The Tarnished were forced to scavenge, squabbling for crumbs, like the Shard-bearers vying for power in the wake of the Shattering. Our Lord, indignant, has refused to scurry about, fighting over what miserly scraps they allow us. If the Erdtree, and indeed the very gods, would debase us so, then we are willing to raise the banner of resistance, even if it means heresy. We at the Volcano Manor, under Lord Rykard, have sworn no rest until it is done. If you follow this heroic path, one day the Lord will see you. The Lord's visits with our champions are always a spectacle.
Astanek says, you gotta admit she's a good boss when it comes to handing out rewards. Is she really, though? I mean, they're just gonna get those rewards back when Rykard eats those champions. She's really no better than Patches. That's probably why he likes her so much. Hello, ma'am. I've committed another homicide as requested. Alfarius has always wondered why she had the knight as a bodyguard. I think they said something about that on their official Twitter accounts, that this Crucible Knight still follows the old ways, but I don't quote me on that. And we did talk about that briefly when we first came in here. She has a silver tongue for sure. She's a very adept at her role.
If you follow this heroic path, one day the Lord will see you. It cannot come a day too soon.
Yeah, she just wants to feed us to the big snake, almost Hansel and Gretel-esque. But despite that, there is still a lot to admire in her words, because of just pointing out how much of an uphill battle it really is to try to become Elden Lord. People have more or less failed for an age to do so. So she's certainly very persuasive, because why believe in a system like that that's going to just pit you against everyone else? Well, fine, if you're going to pit me against everybody else, why not take it to its most logical extremes? It kind of makes sense in a certain way. You get the Scarlet Letter, the Purloined Letter. Not really, but So this one will be the final mission that we undergo, the final official mission. Name of Tarnished to be hunted, written within. So they're all the same in this version of the game. And this one should be Juno and the Mountaintops of the Giants, which will be Dialos' brother. Dialos is none the wiser.
I'm terribly sorry. But would you mind giving me some time to myself? I haven't achieved anything at all thus far. Even though I've dirtied my hands time and time again, I'm still yet to achieve anything. Perhaps I am a fool after all. No, it's worse than that. As things stand, I've given up on the path of revenge and sullied the name of my house. What an easy mark I must have been. How did it take me so long to realize, honestly? There's just no end to my foolishness, is there? Perhaps I am a fool after all. No, it's worse than that. As things stand, I've given up on the path of revenge and sullied the name of my house. What an easy mark I must have been.
Are we going to be able to do something else with the Castagnettes someday? I don't know what that is.
Perhaps I am a fool.
Alright, so yeah, as Teen Sith said, Dialos is a bit of a brain genius, but at least he is a little bit self-reflective and realizes just how much of an idiot he's been. He says he's bloodied his hands in one point, but that he hasn't accomplished anything at all. So maybe he has still killed other Tarnished, but he just realized that he hasn't really gained anything from it, which is probably why he'll end up leaving the Volcano Manor. But he's still also kind of a wimp, so I'm a little bit skeptical that he's really actually bloodied his hands. But let's just say, for the sake of his and the tale of House Haslow's pride, that he has. Still a bit of an idiot, though.
Look at you. A recusant through and through. I knew you had it in you. Take this. A special invitation to hunt some of the first Tarnished who sat at the Round Table hold. If you should accept, I'll next see you on the field of battle.
Letter to Bernal. This will be the one for Willem and Vargrim, the Raging Wolf fights. So Christina was saying, like, the Castanettas, the dancers ones. Yeah, that's an interesting question. You could always, chalk it up to being finished in the DLC, right? He's got the nicest armor. Helmet's slightly goofy, though. Dialos, yeah. He is pretty drippy. Alright, so Bernal's stuff probably doesn't say anything different. Oh, sweet. A written quest for Tarnished hunting shown by Pelnar. So that's Bernal. I feel like I'm not saying that properly. Bernal. Whatever. It doesn't say whom we need to kill. But setting that aside, let's go talk to Pages.
Hello. What impeccable timing. This is for you. You're new here at the manor, but if you complete the request, you can improve your standing. Relax. We're old friends. Time's come to pass the torch, right? Go on, break a leg then. Hello again. Welcome to Patch's Emporium. Stingy.
So this is probably like my favorite incarnation of Patches. He just seems totally unhinged, just trying to get other people to do his work. It's absolutely hilarious. Definitely some of the best that FromSoft has done with his quest lines. So for Patches is Mark, we need to go up to the Ruined Precipice. Cliffside Ruin Overlook. I guess it's called something a little bit different. Ruin Strewn Precipice, right? Okay, it's called Ruin Strewn Precipice here. And for his mark, we fight a familiar fellow. So this one's kind of sad. Because we used this dude to help us clear out the magma worm. Wait, did I never touch this side of Grace? No, I did. Okay. Where is it then? There it is. Our boy Horn Tragoth's world. To be honest, you'd like to visit Tanith once she devoured the serpent? See what has become of her? Yeah. If I were to get like some tattoos that were like game related, two ones that I seriously consider, which I mean I'm not really going to consider because I don't really feel like I need a tattoo or anything like that, would be Estelle. I think that'd be really cool, or just like a really kind of dark tattoo of Tanith, like having a bit of Rykard's entrails in her hands with her like face turned towards the camera or whatnot, with like blood coming out of her mask mouth and stuff and just looking absolutely obscene. I think that would be so cool for like an Elden Ring related tattoo. Bulgo armor set from our boy Horn Tragoth. Great Horn Tragoth's helm, armor, gauntlets, and greaves. You like the ideas? Sweet. Part of you hates the fact that you get such good gear from such evil acts. Part of me hates that such good gear looks so damn ugly. Alright, so we did Tragoth, and now we'll go back to Leyndell and the fortified manor to help Bernal, or Penal, whatever they just called him, deal with Vargrim and Wilhelm. You know, Wilhelm who founded Burgerworth. Invade Vargrim the Bloody Wolf's world. Vargrim the Bloody Wolf, and errant sorcerer Wilhelm. So, apparently despite Bernal hating the Golden Order, he still uses their incantations. And no, I guess that one was the Erdtree, wasn't it? I didn't pay like super close. Yeah, no, that was the Erdtree one. Vargrim uses the Godslayer's Greatsword, which I guess I should go down the Divine Tower of Caelid to get it for myself. Isn't super cool. And he's also wearing the Raging Armor set, which is like one of the promo sets in the game, except his is the non-altered version of it. I think it looks a lot worse with the cape on, to be honest. But I do really like the look of it overall. So that's the Black Flame Blade. How come I can't see Bernal's HP? I don't know who Wilhelm's fighting, but it's certainly not us. And Bernal isn't doing like a ton of HP. Ooh, I didn't realize I would just one-shot him. I don't remember where we get the errant sorcerer set from. Wait, where'd he go? Did he phase through the wall? Oh no, he's over there. So yeah, casters in this version of the game kind of have this issue quite a bit, where their AI breaks when they like get by pillars and stuff. Trying to like backstab him. He's hiding in the back. Deleting mobs is half the fun of FromSoft games, for real though. the Bloody Wolf helm, armor, gauntlets, and greaves. I think this is called something else in the closed network test as well. Man, that reminds me, like, I should look at footage of people's closed network test so I can compare some of those items as well. Because I bet those were even different than what we have. It's found in the Hermit Village. Did I not pick it up? It's in the demi-human town. Maybe I did pick it up. Let me... No, because I think I only got the Prattling Pate, and I forgot if there's anything else there. Okay, so we'll definitely go back there, because we have that unlocked. Thank you for saying that. Alright, so yeah. Let's go to the Bloody Wolf stuff. A helm worn by Vargrim the Bloody Wolf, one of the first Tarnished to visit the Round Table Hold. Vargrim earned his nickname from the white wolf pelt that adorns this helm. According to the old legends, wolves are the shadows of the Empyrean. Vargrim aspired to such a state himself. So that just kind of reinforces like the mythos of Blythe and Malekith, which is really cool, and does call into question like if he's wielding the Godslayer's greatsword, was he trying to be the Glomide Queen's shadow? We don't really know. It'd be cool if he was, but we just don't know. Okay, so it's really only the helm that's different. Kind of weird how the scaled set you get it earlier is better, though style is important. Oh, just in terms of like stats and stuff. So if you compare this has a little bit less weight, 4.6 versus 6.8. So there are trade-offs to everything. 10.6 with the cape versus 16. It's a lot different. But generally for weight to like stat ratio, the veteran set is like by and far above like almost anything that you can get. Okay, so we can still medium roll with all this, which is kind of surprising. We're almost back to my normal lore footage setup. Let's go on back to Bach. Oh yeah, maybe Melina will finally talk about Bach. If not here, I'll go back to the abandoned coffins. Wait, where is Bach? Oh, he's probably still in Landell proper. What is that noise? Is it because of me wearing something? I'm going to have to go to another... The Wilhelm looks great with the Oslo set, yeah. Is there a way to get the closed network test, legal or illegal? I mean, I'm certain there's illegal ways to do it, but you'd probably need a cracked or jailbroken system of some kind. So you'd probably be better off with like maybe using a PS4 or an Xbox. I honestly can't remember the differences between the editions of the Xboxes at this point in my life. So yeah, just don't use the current gen stuff if you want to play games.
This seems ready to make.
So let's go ahead and alter this. It reduces our stats, but I mean, I think it just looks way better. Alright, so can't talk to him. Let's see if Melina says anything. She probably won't.
I wish to journey to the end.
That's what I thought. Let's go to the abandoned coffin. Actually, I wonder if I just tell him he's beautiful, it'll be fine. Would chat change its description once you tailored it? I don't think any description. Hold on, let me rephrase that. I don't think any weapon or armor set changes too much when you tailor it that I know of. There might be some very minor stuff.
I wish to journey with you to the end.
Yeah, so maybe the box stuff just doesn't work on this version. The final part of it. Let's go back to the village. Should be further down this way. There is one. It's an Avadi video. You remember discovering it right before you put it out. I have all the items on like my PC playthrough, and I have like 2 of every weapon: Azura's Glintstone Crown, Robe, Manchettes, and I have all the sets of armor with all the armor altered stuff. So I would need to like double check, but I don't remember anything actually being like that significant. So where is the errant stuff? So it's in this village. We got this dude, he's Angie. And that one over there. Oh, is it on the roof? Poison grease. Ah. I know it's not going to be on any other roofs, but now I'm enjoying myself too much to not do this. Is it by the Rune Bear? There's also the possibility that's just not in this version of the game, because it wouldn't be the first time that an item is missing. Bet you guys thought I was going to die. Oh, ye of little faith. Let's go by the Rune Bear. Holy crap. It almost got Torrent. And me, really. I forgot there was one here. The Craftsman's Shack. Pulley crossbow. Cool. The Preceptor Helm has some major differences. Oh, okay, yeah, that one might be different. And the Land of Reed set was... Yeah, the Preceptor is definitely different. That's totally true. And I should have remembered that. That is very fair. To be honest, I almost don't even consider, like, that mask to be part of the Preceptor set, just because it is so different in terms of appearance and flavor text. But yeah, they're obviously different. Compound stone. Is this alive? Okay, yeah, it is. I was going to be really sad if it was dead for some reason. Is it not going to chase me, actually? I think I went too far. They might have changed the location of the set in 1.0, probably. I'm just still going to look a little bit longer, and then we'll go back to the manor. Blythe's armor changes, and some others mentions the removal of the cape. Yeah, that stuff I don't really consider too significant. But I will say that the Preceptor set is very significant. Uh-oh. Why do I roll away? I need to roll in. I know this. So I just ran away again. Would y'all rather fight a rune bear or the shark dudes from Bloodborne? Beast blood. I almost think I'd choose a rune bear. Like, not in real life, but just in terms of enemies in the games. Large golden smithing stone. Rune bear. Uh-oh. Dog's puking. Be right back. The Tomb of the Giants is a pretty scary area, especially on a first playthrough. I'll just go ahead and say it so we get cursed. I do kind of remember the layout of the area, but a lot of the specifics are hard to remember. Byhander, and I think as we start to go down now, we get shot at, if we're not being shot at right now. Okay. I thought there was a way to fall there. Shows how well I actually remember that layout. Actually, let's try to be smart for once. Wait, I don't think I have any of the prism stones. That's all of my stones are in Dark Souls 3. I think it's a little bit further to the left. Spamming the R2. We said we're going to go about this normal style. It's actually going this way. And then we slide down here and make a right. Oh, it's this one, isn't it? That we just dropped down. Okay, so I was misremembering where. So now we should be like right by the bonfire. It's like down there, yeah. See, I do kind of remember where I'm going. I just don't remember the specifics. I almost stepped off the cliff right then. Okay.
If I do go hollow, then finish me off. I beg of you.
But at the very least, with Miyazaki's interviews, I mean, I guess it doesn't, like, dispute the idea that, dragons are abyssal. But, he says, like, where'd she go? She really just killed herself. Bruh. Oh, shnikes, the third one scared the crap out of me. I got by the HUD. Alright, so now we're out of here. Now we just have to deal with all the bone wheels, which have killed me a lot. So out of the frying pan into the fire, essentially. Can we do it? Can we do it? Can we do it? Damn it! Damn it, damn it, damn it, damn it, damn it, damn it. The goal was in sight. She's pretty OP. Yeah. Especially since melee is really garbage against the Moonlight Butterfly, and she's a caster, she'll probably do a lot of work. Oh, crap. Well, we did it, boys. The soul of the Moonlight Butterfly and some humanity. I didn't even look at Beatrice, did I? We'll see her again for, like, the Four Kings, I suppose. So, GG, Moonlight Butterfly. I forgot, like, I'm not ridiculously low-leveled. That still died way faster than I expected, especially with the co-op thing going on. Alright, let me get this prize, the Watchtower Basement Key, and the Divine Ember, and Homeward Bone. So we can go back to... oh, damn it. Damn Moonlight Butterfly. I really wish I could say I planned that just for the content, but no, I'm a goober. There's no defending myself. Rip my humanity. Now I have to go back and pick up my souls. And then this is the kind of noob trap setup killer. If we try to come this way, the boulder comes crashing through, and then you just fight a bunch of Cabra demons, a bunch of Taurus demons, and so having another recycled... Why is that back now? Well, you got by the oldest one in the book. Venom says, when you started this playthrough, you mentioned how obvious the ball rolling trap was, and I thought he's going to fall for it on a second trip through the asylum. I figured he probably didn't have a lot of hits with this Byhander. Wait, what? That's actually really, really funny. Just straight up assassinated right there. Okay. Alright, sorry for that delay. Oof. It's never a pleasant sound or thing to deal with when that happens. But we're all good now. Roiling magma. Totally forgot that was here. There was exploding chunk of seething lava at enemy. 1 second. Gotta deal with the dog again. Just 1 second, really. Alright, now I'm back. Alright. So I'll stay live a little bit longer to just kind of make up for that lost time. So thank you all for bearing with me and being understanding. Yeah, almost got her outside, but she didn't quite fully make it, so she had another round in the kitchen. So I had to clean that up as well. But we're all good now. So who wants dinner? Anyway. Yeah, El Degusto, or God of Spaghetti, I did end up changing my armor, but can you even really say that I changed the armor? Because this is kind of what I normally rock. Me being in the samurai set is the more of a change than anything at this point. Thanks for the welcome back. So yeah, we were looking for the erratic sorcerer set, but I'm not sure if it's in this version of the game. I thought it was initially kind of when we first got up here, or might have been by the Twin Stone Sorcerer. And I do not want to deal with the Iron Virgin. Oh yeah, we rested. That's why these things are all back. Yep, because we're silent, we can sneak up on the dude this time. Feels good. That doesn't feel as good. Oh yeah, I need to take off the Radigan thing now that I'm done with the Giza Wheel. Wait, I think I did. Yeah, no, we're good. What's my favorite set overall for defense to weight efficiency? I mean, I really do like the Clean Rat set. Despite, you know, it being really related to Melina. The Veteran set is really good. Raging Wolf set might be my favorite, though. I don't know, I just kind of have a bit of a soft spot in my heart for, like, the quote-unquote default sets. Like the promotional material stuff. I'm not a fan of the fingerprint set though, even though like I know it's on the cover art specifically. Alright. Yeah, it doesn't look like it's here in this version, unfortunately. So we'll just have to go back to the Volcano Manor and continue our quest. Or more or less like end it. How about you guys? What are your favorite sets? If you have one. So let's go see patches before Bernal. The mushroom set, death to poison / rot. Is that really death to poison? It's more like death by poison. You just run around naked, the loincloth.
Welcome to Patch's Emporium.
The request is done. Scaled armor set, yeah, that one's also really good. Yeah, okay. So, if the player model Crucible axe set looked like the actual Crucible Knights, that would probably be my favorite. Like, I think they look so freaking cool, but it's just not. Oh, same thing with the Knight Rider set. Like, the Knight Rider set looks super cool on the Knight Riders. Kind of looks like ass on us. Feels bad, man. Lionel set? Really? I'm surprised. I think it's a little bit too roly-poly for me. The helmet's really cool and funny.
You hunted down Tragoth? Are you certain? No, it's quite all right. Fine work indeed. I'll give Tanith the news. Have some rest, by all means. Stingy little beggar. Try to find it in your heart next time, eh?
So now we go straight to Tanith to tattle on him, essentially. Prisoner's hurt with the page trousers. Yeah, I really like the prisoner's helm. There's something goofy and sinister and cool about it all at the same time. It's kind of a bit of an enigma.
If you follow this heroic path, one day the Lord will see you. It cannot come a day too soon.
So maybe we just need to rest to finish everything else with patches. To just call him out. I was actually surprised that the Tarnished even does in this game. I thought we'd just be kind of an idiot like in other FromSoft games. I mean, we do get kicked down a cliff. Well, I guess we kind of do literally walk into it and we can't stop it from happening. When did I say I was playing Dragon's Dogma? I didn't. Nox sets have their drip too, yeah. So I really like a lot of the armor sets in Elden Ring, but I would agree that like there is a little bit of a deficiency for the sorcerer type stuff. Like it's kind of like all or nothing, unfortunately. More like light armor sets, like they need more like bandity stuff as well. Now that I think about it, because like maybe the closest would be like the Highwayman set or like the blue cloth set. There's just not a lot of like the cloth armor sets that you'd see in like the previous titles.
Hello again. Welcome to.
It's an idea. Throwing it out there. I respect the hustle, Canshell. We're born of the roly-poly, made men by the roly-poly, undone by the roly-poly. Fear the old roly-poly.
Sharper than you seem, aren't you? I was just holding on to it for you, you know. There you go. The reward for hunting Tragoth. All yours.
So he does say Tragoth. I thought he's pronounced it Tragoth, so that's why I pronounced it that way. So we get the magma candlestick from this reward. I really, really like the idea behind this weapon. I just wish it was a little bit better.
Stingy little beggar. Try to.
But to be fair, I guess I don't really use whips that much, so it's probably fairly good. Like, every weapon's viable, which is always cool. Some may be a little bit more viable than others, to be fair. I do wish there was a little bit more to differentiate daggers and set them apart, because I really love that you can use, like, the Wakizashi as a power stance weapon with katanas. So I just wish, like, it could have a kind of unique Ash of War to make it really worth using for its like loss of range. Oh yeah, the magma candlestick. This charm is a 3-pronged candlestick with solid flames formed from the magma of Mount Gelmir. When wielded as a weapon, the flame becomes supple whips of lava. Skill is Magic Whip. Sea of Magma. Interesting. Am I a fan of Viva La Dirt League? I've never heard of that. Channel the inner Belmont.
It's just as my noble brother says. I'm a complete fool. I can't believe I thought I could become a champion. Perhaps I am a fool after all. No, it's worse than that. What an easy mark I must...
Okay, Dialos.
Ah, I had hoped you'd soon return. I have the reward from Lady Tanith. Take it. It's yours, by right. Let us tread the path of the Recusant together, till we reach the miserable death that awaits us.
Gelmir's Fury.
You're still alive, I see. Well, until we meet again.
So that should be it. He might have a little bit more dialogue if we reset. I don't think so. I think his next set comes from after defeating Rykard. So, Viva La Dirt League is an Australian comedy YouTube channel. No, I'm not too familiar, unfortunately. They do brilliant skits and have a full playlist of Dark Souls logic poking fun of Dark Souls and the players. Okay. Maybe I've seen like one video, but I don't know. Like I've said before, I actually don't really watch a lot of like content on YouTube, to be honest. It's weird to hear me say Gelmir and not Gelmir and not Gelmir. Gelmir, not Gelmir. Sorry.
You're still alive, I see. Well,
Dielos is gone. So he shouldn't show back up until we kill Rykard as well. Thank you, Nightbot. I was totally being a banana right then. It got me. I've been got. Wait, no, we already picked up the next side of Grace, so we can just warp right over there. Erupts magma from below, damaging enemies. Seawater Terminus and the prison town parish. So with that out of the way, how many runes do we have? Alright, we're going to go through this part of the manor, and then when I get enough to level up, I'll just go back to the back route, because it gives a little bit of a different angle of Volcano Manor. Doesn't really connect back into anything, unfortunately, but... oh well. Which way do I want to go? Like, that way's a lot faster, but this way is more scenic, I guess. You're just gonna have to deal with an Iron Virgin. So we got a naked commoner, a dog. And then the Virgin should be around the corner. Not this corner, mind you, but up ahead. These things are just so tanky. Like, I do like in retail that I can just constantly stagger it with the Silver Mist. I'm just a bit disappointed that it doesn't work here. Your roly-poly bit was a reference to the roly-poly skit. I like the alliteration there. I guess that's not alliteration, rhyming. The new player, Rowan, gets invaded by a naked guy who just humiliates him. It threw poo at me. Why is the dog still alive? Holy crap. Roll to the side. Not a ton of damage. I need like the Prince of Death staff. Not that it's really going to do that much more, all things considered. I also need to pick up my runes. That's actually what I need to do. Rolls around and pulls out a great club to one-shot him. That doesn't surprise me if it's a true roly-poly type thing. Let's get out of the corner this time. I think I need to run, like, dodge into it. Almost rolled off. Trying to damage the snake because it takes more damage. I just don't know a super good way to deal with them, I guess. Other than just abusing mechanics. This really stinks. Having them throwing poop jars at us. So I don't typically go this way, but I'm just trying to show off as much of this place as I could. So I really like Volcano Manor. I do wish there were more places like this in the game. This place in particular kind of has more of an old Yharnam type feel to me than any other location in the game. I wish there were more settlements in general, like out in the open world, or just like bigger towns. Because Lanedale is really cool, Stormvale is super cool, Volcano Manor is cool, Alphael is cool, the Frenzy Flame Village is cool. Just give me more settlements. The world feels a little bit too empty, I think, to like support these kind of sprawling areas. It's just a thing that happens sometimes. Tried rolling slow. Mashing. I should live. Yeah, so for anyone who doesn't know... Oh, that does bleed damage? Fudge. So for anybody who doesn't know, if you ever get grabbed in a FromSoft game, you're supposed to like mash your buttons, and that should like make you struggle enough against the grab where you can get released early from some of them. It doesn't always work. But yeah, as Astanex says, like, Elden Ring feels unlived in, which might be part of the point with like the fracturing of the ring and the terribleness of the Golden Order. So we jump up here. We can get our revenge on the poop throwing boys, but we're going to leave them be. For some reason I thought that was one of the corpses that just like drops items, but apparently that was a real dude. Alright. Hopefully time for revenge. Compared to a lot of open world games, it's pretty solid in terms of actually having stuff and not just expanses of nothing. Yeah, I'd agree with that. Skyrim is also pretty good about that too. But it's just a matter of knowing like what's significant, and that's kind of one of the harder things to deal with. I can summon the Mimic here. Trying to do as much damage to that as I could. Okay, that did not work. I'm scared. YOLOing. I need to YOLO a bit less. There we go. So we do have Erdtree banners here, which is pretty cool. The architecture in Volcano Manor is quite a bit different from other places. I don't think I've seen actual Banished Knight weapons here. We just have like the placeholder spears and swords. But they do have like the pock marks on them that are like similar to the Bard equipment. Whether it's straight swords. So Rykard has most likely been just torturing everybody that we've kind of encountered here. Which is why they're kind of in the condition we find them. Because commoners in other places are wearing clothes, believe it or not. We get blood on the ground here, which is kind of diegetic to the whole torture motif. So I think he's trying to instill despair into the people of like Volcano Manor to kind of create those hexes necessary for his sorceries, or at least his research into his sorceries. There's pretty much only one city in the game, unless you count the Frenzied Flame Village, Academy Town, or the Eternal Cities. Hey, don't you forget about the Ailing Village. That super populated place. Yeah, I do think it's unfortunate that the only kind of towns that we get in the game are just Frenzied Flame ones. And there's also like Jarburg, if that counts. So coming over here, we do have an Omen Killer as well. So it's not like all of the Omen Killer only ever like worked for Gideon. This one has 2 of the cleavers, which is cool. And the story behind the Omen Killers are that they took physics to remove emotions from themselves. I wonder if part of the reason for that is because they're killing Omen, which are cursed and whatnot. They thought that they couldn't get cursed if they didn't have emotions, because curses come from negative emotions. Or it could have just been an edgy way for them to enact some truly inhumane stuff. But it's also possible that the equipment that they wear is also made in mockery of Omen, and that they see the Omen as inhuman creatures, not even like worth living. But I don't think like their set says anything quite to that effect, though. So that's just kind of some ungrounded speculation, of course. That village is less populated than Mongolia. Unironically true. Because Mongolia has more than like 8 people. It's more of a hamlet than a village, isn't it? Nothing really going on here. There's all like bars on the windows and stuff. It just keeps in piles of ashen corpses. Which is pretty diegetic in terms of the research of Rykard's flame sorceries / hexes. Were there any items here in retail? I'd assume that there would be. Yeah, this dude. Okay. So we got some more dudes hanging by their necks. These dudes don't have legs. You'd almost expect stuff like this to show up more in Stormvale. But I guess like showing off the bodies. Oh my god. What the hell? What? That was amazing. That's so creepy. That was so cool, man. Too bad there's like nothing like that intentionally in the game. Yeah, going back to like the bodies of the commoners, in some ways, when you see them without their clothes on, they kind of resemble the dudes in the Wandering Mausoleums. Just they have heads and stuff, but their bodies look all caved in, like they haven't eaten, which is kind of crazy. It almost reminds me of like the way that the trolls' abdomens are caved in. 1.0 bugs. The Erdtree seal is here in retail? Is it really? Because I guess I'm too used to 1.0 with it being in the fortified manor. Oh, it's in that building specifically? Alright, Love Sirius Black, thanks. You take care. Yeah, as soon as I get to the next side of Grace, I'll probably save it for there for the night. Pretty sure there's nothing too significant on that corpse. And damn it. I'm going to wait for that thing to turn around. We do get these big snake griffin type statues coming on. They're not anywhere else. We almost have like the Dragon Communion type altars here, but they're, you know, slightly different. And more snake men. So the architecture here is a lot less gothic, and it doesn't also match up with the kind of church that you'd see in Castle Sol, Redmane Castle, or Stormvale. This is kind of one of my favorite parts of the game. This door is closed, you can't get in, so you literally just like have to break in a window or like climb up top. Some broken iron virgins with like snakes all over them. It's a nice detail which does potentially tie them in closer to Rykard. Less populated than Japan in 10 years. Oof. So you can jump in up here, I think. Nope. Okay, yeah, there's the spot. Or you could just like jump across that balcony down there. And around over there. Rune fragments. I don't think there's an item up there, but I think it gives you a chance to... No, I guess you don't even really get a chance to deal with these Elvenorcs. So yeah, coming in here, there are going to be tortured Elvenorcs. And some of them cry like that guy. Why'd I do that? It's just going to be in the dark. These dudes bleed silver. And they don't really have use of their legs. You'd almost think that it's because they're binded, but their legs are fading away. So this one I think has beast blood, this corpse. Yep. The reason why I remembered that is because when I was looking for footage of beast blood, I remembered being able to have Elvenorcs in the frame, which is kind of cool. These things with lion heads are in Fair Missoula as well. Yeah. I probably should have said that, but I figured just like mentioning the Dragon Communion Church would be clear enough, but that's a fair point. Oh, we get our first Black Dumpling, which is just a crazy Elvenorc that's been incited to a point of frenzy that's not related to the Frenzy Flame. Oh, looks like we have the goofy banners that might have like the Erdtree avatars on them. Oh, I got lucky with that one. Lowlanders are in. We'll clear out the rest of this house. Oh yeah, this one can alert the dudes on the inside. So he's actually kind of important to kill pretty quickly because of the snake. Although I'm at the point in the game where I'm not going to be too pressured by this stuff. Hopefully. Knock on wood. Streamer curse right there. Explosive great bolts. And that should be it for this interior. So we have the site of grace in the next room. Am I a floor too high or too low? Or is there just an invisible wall? No, okay, I just walked past it. Okay. There we go. So I'm going to teleport back to the parochial parish just to pick up that one item on the roof that I skipped. Volcano Manor is also more modeled on Central European and Baltic styles, or Baltic castles. It's particularly similar to the Malbork castle. Okay, I'll need to look into that. Thanks for that. Yeah, because I'm just like, this isn't Gothic. I've seen plenty of Gothic. I don't know what this is. So yeah, that'd be cool to have another like real-world reference to point to. Because like Archdragon Peak is based on the Hagia Sophia. And like a lot of Bloodborne's architecture is based on Notre Dame. Uh-oh. Man Serpent Shield. Sweet. Oh man, I need to get all the way up there. That's the easiest way. Probably that way and up. It looks like I'm going back. Thought I missed that. We thought Dung Eater was bad. We've got Dung Throwers over here. Malbork. It's kind of a mouthful. Kind of almost reminds me of like Malboro in Final Fantasy. Lowlanders Rune. Tier 4. Alright. So this will clear out like the very first portion of Volcano Manor. Next time, I think we'll start off by going through the Ray Lucaria side of things. Golden Smithing Stone. Okay. Fudge, I'm in combat. It sees me. You think the Final Fantasy mobs smell better than these guys? Tarnished Archaeologist made a video about it, but personally you've seen the connection yourself since you've been in similar castles in Poland, or seen similar castles in Poland? Okay. What language is Malbork? Because that's way too easy to be Polish. Let's go back to Ray Lucaria. Oh yeah, we should talk to Topes next time as well. That'll remind me. Lake facing cliffs. Alright, I will exit the game over by Topes, and that will set me down the path for tomorrow. So for everybody who has joined in, lurked, and commented, once again, thank you as always. Hopefully we'll catch you on the next stream. Sorry for the little delay, technical difficulties dealing with the dog. Thanks for being understanding. Hopefully we'll catch you again at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Take care. Last Protagonist out.